Hey everybody, welcome to Dad Talk today. Man, it's been a long time since I seen that intro. Mr. Esquibel, how you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm ready.
Got to lean in on this one, huh?
Yeah, I'm ready. It's been a while to get to here. I've been just trying to think of how to do this, guys. Even with the intro, I was buying myself time, thinking like, I don't think anybody wants to be in a position like this. Never thought I would be. And I'm just gonna say, up front, I've got a lot of emotions going on here, guys. I go from mad to sad, grieving, all over the place. And I was gonna do this a little bit later on in the show, but kind of as an introduction, I think it would be an appropriate place. You've been one of the best friends I could ever ask for, man. And I love you. I love you as much as a straight man can love another man. You've been there for me when it counted. And thank God I had you, because the only other person in the world that knows what I know is this guy right here. And what has it been? 6 months now? Almost 6 months?
Yeah, we rolled out of the wrongful death trial in Idaho, and I think I was home for like one day. And then Mr. Mass called me and said, "Hey, I'm headed to West Virginia. You coming?" I went home, packed a bag, and I think I was in West Virginia and then Georgia for like a month or two.
Been working on that case up in Idaho going on 6 years now. And that was an emotional time, dude. I came back home for one day. I was home one day, turned around and went to West Virginia. My brother went with me. Thank God I had him there with me. And it's been crazy, man. And I'm just going to, I'll say something else up front, guys. I turned the comments off, live chat and all that, because there's been so many people that took this, made a circus out of it, and they went into business for themselves. I feel like I've been exploited, Mark. My personal information has been put out there. I've had my family harassed, had my friends harassed. These narratives have been going out there. They've been doing this longer than I had any affiliation with that last year. You realize that, right? They've been, and like people who came out of nowhere and like no factual basis for nothing, dude. And it's crazy because right before we came home, Charlie Kirk got killed. And guys, I'm going to be a little slow, probably talking. There's going to be some pauses because there is a lot that I cannot say, and for obvious reasons. And that's another reason I will tell you. The people going out there claiming that they've got information, they're not even in the right direction. You don't even know the cast of characters. Would you say so, Mark?
They want to be one of the cast of characters.
They want to, but they don't even know.
No, they're reaching for their 15 minutes of fame, and it's over with.
And dude, I did everything in my power to try to just like go in the opposite direction. And, like this was my heart and my passion right here, was talking about the dads. And me and you have been almost at every state in the country, man. Walking the hallways and helping people. That's what we do.
If this hack could speak.
Oh my dear Jesus, man. And if any of these people had an ounce of integrity, they could have spent 30 minutes doing the research and they would have seen that. It's not what they wanted. With this story, there wasn't nobody I saw that actually wanted truth. They wanted sensationalism, because it is. It's sensational, dude.
Yeah.
Sensationalism and whatever keeps the controversy going so they can monetize it. I tried staying just completely silent for a while, and I wasn't in a position to be able to do that. Guys, this is what I did for a living. I was a content creator. And I try my best to do the best that I can and help people. I am an imperfect person. I make mistakes at times, but I can tell you this. I stand by 100% everything I've done. And hopefully one day, Mark, time will be able to tell this story in a way that I haven't been able. There are so many people, after we got the news a couple of weeks ago, that you got the same way everybody else did. Social media, right? Let's be honest. I'll tell you what I was doing. My brother had actually called me and said, Eric, would you play Call of Duty with me? You know, that's how we as men get together, get on our headphones and talk. And me and my brother love him to death, man, every day, you know, talking. And while we was talking, he was like, Eric, I just got a message and you might want to know about this. It's like, what is it? He said, they're saying you're in jail. I'm like, really? I was like, man, it's convenient to be able to kill zombies on Call of Duty, you know, from jail. I was like, what in the world is going on, man? And then my phone started going.
You're like, I'm not Don Lemon. Sorry.
No,
I'm free.
And I'm going to tell you, dude, there was a lot of emotions that went into me that day, Mark. I heard from you every day, Jeff Morgan, same way. But there were a lot of people that knew me that had been around. And it was like, there were some really dark days there, brother. Really dark days. And I was like, where are they at? You know, the biggest thing is, and I want to say this right away. Again, guys, I'm going to be a ping pong ball. I've held all this in. It's my turn. I've heard all the BS. It's my turn.
Like Nick Shirley in front of Congress. Everyone thinks he's a bad guy too.
Well, I have to sit on the outside and look in. If I was trying to find out about a story and then I get online and this is the information that I'm being fed, you know, that must have been really convenient. Again, man, I did my best to try to just go in the other way. I went to try to talk about dads, and then people would either bring up this situation or they tried to make it about themselves. I could have turned the comments off at any point in time. I didn't do it. And what really gets me, you know, dude, even mobsters back in the day, gangsters, like some of the worst people in the world, they had a code. Could have been doing like some of the worst operations in the world, but you still didn't mess with people's family. You know, I made a video about Erica Kirk and what she's going through right now. No matter where you're at on the political spectrum, guys, can we take the politics out of it for a second? This woman's husband was killed, but it wasn't just a certain husband. I mean, you got a guy that was, you know, the head of one of the biggest political organizations in the world. I'd been to his events. It was impressive.
This guy right here?
Yes, sir. And so not only did she just lose her husband, but the part that really just puts the knife in, man, is those two kids. They don't have their dad. They don't know about the politics or how much you love or hate Donald Trump. They love their daddy. And now they don't have their daddy. And that woman is going to, when the cameras go off and when all of this is gone, the noise, she's got to be there for them to console them. And she used to have a partner there that could help. Not only that, now she's got thousands of people that relied on that job and relied on her husband, who's not here no more. Now she's got to fulfill that role. And then to top it all off, she's got to go in front of the world and sit there while people judge if her tears are real or not. Mark gives JD Vance a hug. And just because like people think the hug went the right way, now him and Usha are getting a divorce. Him and Erica Kirk. I mean, it's like, dude, people will do anything to get that attention. And the sad thing is, as bad as that might sound for that person putting that narrative out there, it got viewed like crazy because the people eat it up.
Aren't you getting a divorce too?
We're like in a real life episode of the Jerry Springer Show, bro.
Yeah, you're supposed to be getting a divorce too.
Oh yeah, dude. If you
on methadone,
I'm not supposed to even be able to talk right now. I'm supposed to be slurring my speech. I'm on methadone, remember?
Yep.
And my wife is leaving. I've never taken methadone in my life, Mark.
Yeah.
You know, the sad thing about that is, man, I'm 16 years sober. I did have an extended period of opiate addiction. It started years ago. I get tonsillitis. Used to. I don't know why I don't anymore. I used to get tonsillitis like 3 or 4 times a year. My tonsils right now, not going to open them up. I can, but they're the size of golf balls. And I went to my doctor, and he knew I didn't have much money. He sent me home with some samples. I don't know if any of you ever had your doctor, Mark, you ever had your doctor send you home with some sample medication to see if it worked?
Samples. I tore my back wakeboarding 20 years ago, and the guy gave me like a cylinder full of Vicodin. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I need to fix my torn back muscle.
That's kind of what happened, dude. For me, he gave me some hydrocodone cough syrup.
Oh.
And each bottle was like the equivalent of 2 Vicodins. But he didn't give me 1 bottle. He gave me 2 cases, 24 bottles. And I remember after the first time taking that, dude, it was like one of the best feelings in the world. And I suffer with severe depression and stuff. It was like, this is who I'm supposed to be. This makes me feel good. And that just turned into a spiral. And that was something I never thought I would, be able to kick, dude, but I did. And it was being a dad. When my 3rd daughter was born, I remember looking in her eyes, dude, and it was just that feeling, you're responsible for this human being right now. And I was the preacher's son. And I didn't want to bring shame on my dad, dude. I hid it. I tried to hide it so much, man. I would rather die than have someone look down on him, but it was one of those moments. The thing with drug addicts, man, nobody can force them to want to get sober. You have to want it. And I hit my rock bottom. I wanted it. I didn't go to jail or anything. It was like, I can't do this anymore. And I kicked it. But I'll tell you this, man, that is one of my accomplishments in life. I don't hide behind that. I've talked about it on Dad Talk numerous times. Do you know how many people I've helped get off of the pills, Mark? I love doing that because it can happen to anyone. Anyone. If you take those long enough and then you stop taking them, the withdrawals and stuff, you'll do anything to not feel that. And Big Pharma kills just about more people than anybody. 3rd leading cause of death in this country, Mark. It's the craziest thing, dude. What have we heard about for the last month in the news? Minnesota?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you know how many thousands of people have died in the last month from prescription medication given to them by their doctor that was made by the people that just so happened to sponsor the news? How many of those victims did you see in the headlines? You didn't. One, you're not messing with their money, but the other is this issue right here. It's political, it's race involved, and it gets the people doing this. And for anybody like, why are they talking? I want to know about the Whitaker stuff because it plays in here. That's what's went on here. Sensationalism. What can we do for the clicks? And the accusations and stuff. And at any point in time, I could have went on. I've got the platforms and this is a lie. This is a lie. They love it when you do that because they say, I got a reaction, right? And so it was 2 days after that I said that about Erica, about how you don't mess with people's family. And then some creep goes and starts saying that my wife had contacted him and she's planning on leaving me when I go to jail very soon and all kinds of crap, man. Nobody was more pissed off about that than my wife.
Yeah.
And there you go again. I could have brought her on. You want to hear from her? She's the main reason I'm still here. I've wanted to give up on this so many times, dude. And she's always that person that checks me. She's like, I know your heart. I know what you do this for. Yes, it sucks right now, but you'll get through it. And why would you? And dude, the fact that I'm sitting here and can talk to you guys and that I can go in there and take care of my family and hug my daughter before I go to sleep tonight and help my wife around the house and help with the bills, that's got you angry? You wanted me in jail for what? Because of the bull crap that you've made up? But think of I think people are just so disconnected from reality, Mark, because they're on the other side of a screen. You know, there's nothing personal about doing this right here. Nothing. They would, even some of the ugliest things, they would never talk to that person in real life like that. Ever.
It's not just jail. You were getting death threats too. I mean, you had to have the sheriff come by your house every night and do a check. I was there.
And that's why this guy's so important to me. It's not speculation. You can call it whatever. He was there. Death threats. Then one night I see my phone number and my personal information leaked online.
Getting doxxed. Yep.
You was with me.
Yep.
After midnight, kids got to go to school the next day. I've got the cops here at my house making a report. But here's why I feel like an outsider. And I got to be careful. I got to be careful, guys. Again, I'm told I can't talk about the case. But I have my rights. And I have been trampled on. And I'm no simpleton. Don't take my silence for weakness. Don't. With those threats and with that, I sent emails and I tried to contact the area where these were coming out of. Not even a reply, Mark. Not even a reply. My home, where I live, and let me say something. I haven't always been the biggest fan of them. That's another time, another story. And it's nothing compared to, like, nothing compared to the stories that you get up there. Anyway, don't want to go in that direction. But when I came home and they knew what was going on with me, 2 to 3 times a day, answer the door. Mr. Carroll, are you okay? Walking my property? I mean, didn't leave any stone unturned. You hear anything, you see anything, you call us. You understand? Man, I'll never forget that.
Well, we had that in West Virginia too. I mean, besides being tracked
by the people
down,
of West
besides
Virginia.
being tracked down, the people that knew, people that were in the know, in the holler, so to speak, they would track us down and say, hey, here's what's really going on. Oh, by the way, if you need help, you can stay here in our cabin or stay here in our Airbnb, or, you know.
The dynamics are so crazy, guys. So crazy. One thing I want to say, I got a lot to say. So, and I'll probably repeat myself on a lot. It's my turn to speak. One thing that I wanted to do from the very beginning, when people are making this content, you're talking about human beings here. And I felt like that area, not just, the other subject, but the people in that area, it had been built to look like white trash USA. Just hillbilly, no good trash. That was the impression that it gave me. Still does, if you kind of look it up. You can go looking for it, you'll see it. And I hate that, because as much animosity as I have in my heart right now, and could try to do the same thing because I feel like I've been wronged, I met some of the most beautiful human beings up there, man. So freaking nice. We had nothing but support. I was looking over my shoulder when I was up there, because the one Airbnb we were staying at, people found us. Me particularly. But again, they were supporters. They wanted us to know, you're onto something. You're onto something. And you need to be careful.
I mean,
maybe I'll let you tell, Mark.
Well, we left the area because we thought it was getting a little hot. So let's go south a little bit and go to a hotel. And we walk into the hotel and anonymity gone immediately. So we then leave that hotel. Someone else helps us out.
Tell about the housekeeper at the hotel.
Yeah, we walk in and there's something wrong with the AC. And so we call housekeeping. and sweet lady, she walks in
Very
and just,
sweet.
oh my God.
She
And
was
we're like,
treating me like Elvis.
yeah. Here we're trying to be anonymous and be like, okay, let's just get out of the county a little bit because it's heating up. And we're in a random hotel off the highway. No one even knows where we're at. And not only maintenance, but the sweet lady that came in, we're like, okay, well, there blows that cover. I guess we'll be, getting a nice breakfast and leaving in the morning and going somewhere else.
There was
You
one
actually
night,
did it live from that hotel room.
yeah. There was one night before you got there. Like, it was crazy, man. There was people like gotten in an argument over who was going to buy my supper.
Yeah.
It was nuts. It was like between 5 different people. And then one went up there to do it and found out that it was already done. So she was like, I got your next meal. Here's a gift card. And so let me just say, man, I saw nothing but beautiful people, support. I know the narrative that gets pushed up there. Yes, there are some areas, and yes, there's some challenging situations up there that I will not deny. But don't judge a book by its cover, and you might need to look a little bit further into it. You're talking about a country area with people who I feel like have been taken advantage of. Not to make this a history show, but it's a coal mining state. What happened years ago? Coal mines went in there. You worked for them. They paid you. You would get stuff, and they actually had the stores that you went and shopped at. So they were who you made the money from, and then you went and spent money in their stores and gave it right back to them. And what happened when they got all the coal? Poof, gone. And then you got all these people in there that these companies depended on with no money. And so it made some very challenging situations, I believe, in that area. And the other thing is, like, dude, I didn't, first time, I didn't know what to expect. Man, it was beautiful up there, bro. The mountains and the scenery and stuff.
I've never been to West Virginia, let alone Odd. You told me about it, and I'm like, I don't even know where that's at.
There's a
I
reason.
watched plenty of football games. I know the Mountaineers, but I had no idea where Odd, West Virginia even was.
I just wanted to get that out, man, because I feel like there's been people just so unfairly, and I know, like, if that was my home right there, I wouldn't want people looking at my home that way, where I raised my kids and where my family was from. So please, guys, if anybody has ever got that feeling, I wanted to show a different side.
I think you were the first one going back to Mark Laeta. He has good intentions, and he took care of, them.
I didn't even think about that one, dude.
But you were the first one that was trying to give them their dignity. Everyone else was just making money off of them. And you can't expect, like I said, I'll defend Mark Laeta, to the ends of the earth, because he's a good guy. And if you expected him to do a little more than he did, that would be like expecting him, because his office is just outside of Skid Row, to take care of the 150,000 homeless on Skid Row. He brings attention to it. Yeah. And he actually raised money. And, that's another situation that we can talk about certain aspects of it. But you're the only one. You were there for 3 months, and you're the bad guy. Mark's been there since 2003.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that out. I tried even back then to keep his name out of it, because
can't.
Well, I can sympathize with him more than ever now, because one thing or expression I say a lot is you got to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Well, I know what it's like to be in those shoes, and after the work that he did, I feel sorry for the guy, and I don't want him to get dragged into this. Back in the day when people tried to bring it up, I tried to just let it go in one ear and out the other. And what people didn't see is when it would get brought up to me in videos or interviews, I tried to cut that out too. Because here was a guy that sacrificed his time, came out there. I wouldn't have known who that family was without Mark. I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
And right away, people started trying to make it a us versus him thing. And I didn't want that. And so it was really important for me to talk to him. But the reason that we talked was not because of what people would think. One day I had an episode of Dad Talk. I had, I think, 2 episodes of Dad Talk that got flagged for copyright by Soft White Underbelly. And I was like, what in the world? And let me say this right now. I think the video had like 1,500 or 2,000 views on it. Had nothing to do with Soft White Underbelly. It was years before. And it just like, I don't know how that got reported for that, but I was like, what is this, man? I was like, that video ain't making money anyway. I talk about one of the most unpopular topics out there. It's father's rights. Ain't nobody getting rich or famous talking about these issues. You know, we're begging people, like, listen to what we got to say here. But I had his number, and that's when I reached out, and I was like, dude, what is this? Like, I felt at that time, and I'll apologize because I think I was wrong. It felt like a personal attack because at that time it was just so heated, dude, between like us versus him type stuff that was made up again on the internet. It wasn't made up by me. It was made up on the internet. And I was like, look, man, I was like, if you got something against me or something's going on, I was like, you got my number. I've tried reaching out to you and like, I haven't heard from you. And that's when I finally heard, and me and him had like 20 phone calls because our call kept messing up. And he was very heated in the beginning. Obviously, man, his girlfriend had just died, you know? And, but we talked. He was very frustrated with the situation, rightfully so. And, you know, I let him know. See, and that was what was confusing, man, is how I got brought into the picture in the first place. Is I was just a viewer. And I interview people. I mean, Jesus, who all have we interviewed, Mark?
You name it.
You name it.
All the way up to the president.
No, I never got to interview Trump.
Well, not interview, but I mean, you're having dinner with the guy. That's how many people can say that?
But, and guys, I would have done the same thing with Biden. When you talk about politics, people go crazy. I had an issue I wanted to get the laws changed with. I was also trying to get laws passed to make sure little kids do not get gender transition surgery. Because I've got several guys I'm very close friends with. And people think since we got the president that we got now that has changed. Nothing has changed. They still don't have their kids. And last I heard with Younger, he doesn't even know where his kid is. They changed his name. They don't know that. He's not allowed to know anything about his kid, which was, it's interesting how this happened. When I started working on that, you know, originally, you know, it was Mark that got that story out. He interviewed several of the guys that had came through Dad Talk way before that. Jeff Younger being one of them. It's probably the most well-known case where they were trying to do a surgery on his 7-year-old son, wanted to turn him into a girl. And it's just a crazy, crazy story, guys. But when I heard that he was on Soft White Underbelly and I showed Mark that text when we got to talk, I was like, look, dude, I rooted for you. I was like so proud that Jeff got to talk to Mark. I was like, he's a good guy, dude. We had 2 completely different styles. He wasn't in there to give a narrative or to put anything on top of it. It was roll the camera. What you see is what you get. Here's the reality. Here's the reality of Skid Row, you know, and stuff like that. On my side, the one thing that I always kept hearing about was people wanting to get them a home. And I knew with the popularity they had with all the wrong reasons, that if somebody did the right thing, that house could be a reality. But here's the other thing that never got talked about. That house has to be kept up. There's got to be someone to take care of people, you know? And like, I got to be careful, guys, but it's not just building of a house. It's got to be taken care of. People got to be taken care of. And when you look, we're going through this right now. I don't want to put too much of my personal information out, but you know, I got someone in my family very sick and we're having to get care for them 24 hours a day. because don't want to put them in a nursing home. Those are the people that made us, that created us, that loved us, that raised us. I'm not seeing a family member go into a nursing home. That ain't happening on my watch, bro. And shame
or
on
a
all the
veteran.
adults out there that do. Now,
Or a
there's
veteran,
some I
because
understand. At some point in
this
time,
country they treat our veterans like shit too. So
gosh, that is, we know that. I mean, they take themselves out of this world more than anybody. We can't say that word on YouTube.
22 times a day.
And anyway, it that care around the clock is expensive. You got more than one person that needs care. So it's not just a house. You got a lot to do. In order to pull something like that off, it's going to need quite a bit, and it's got to be structured just right. But there was other challenges with that, Mark. There had been scandal before. There was a big pile of money that came and disappeared. And after that, the trust with the public was broken. And what happened there? Another content creator that didn't know anything about the story came in there wanting to make Mark look like a bad guy because he wanted to be the one making content on it. And he got the views, he got the comments, but I don't think it was the ones he wanted because Mark had the receipts. I have receipts, a lot of them. You've been through them with me, haven't you, Mark?
You're looking at a receipt right here.
Yeah. But I want to get off of that, but I did want to touch it. Over time, I had a lot put in my ear, and all I know, I got fed misinformation too. So there was a point in time that my view of Mark kind of got skewed a little bit.
Yeah.
But looking back at this thing, I did revisit one time after I came back home, and the thing that mattered to, or like resonated with me the most, was after he, figured all this out and heard about it. He said, "After all I've done for you."
Well, that's a good thing about truth, and us being in, what people would designate father's rights. We fight for children. We don't care. Dad has them, mom has them.
I fight for
how many
dads too, though,
flaws?
man. One of the things I used to hate it when advocates would do it, not to cut you off, hold that thought. One of the things that used to really get to me is they'd be like, "It's not about you. It's about the kids. It's not about you. It's about the kids." Well, that person once upon a time was a kid, and it is about them. If that person is being used, abused, they're taking his money that he made by a sacrifice, being away from his family, so that he could make it to take care of that child, and then he's got to give it to an attorney or a court system. It is about him. And that's the reason why men are taking their own lives at rates that we've never seen before, Mark. It's the reason why our veterans are taking their lives at those rates. Stop telling them it's not about them. It is about them. And we need to hear what people are going through, man. And instead, people always search for the bad, man. Always. And that's, like I said, I feel like we're in a real life episode of Jerry Springer right now, where every day they got to outdo themselves. Even with our weather. Have you seen that video of that guy when a hurricane came?
Yeah.
Or a hurricane was coming, and the reporter's out there with an umbrella. And he's like, "Oh my God, guys, it's so bad out here." And then you see the two guys with shorts just walking up. It's so nonchalant, like, what's going on?
They're walking in the background, looking at him going, "Why is he leaning into the rain?"
It's a spectacle. And each day it's got to be more crazy than the last,
Yeah. Well, and
I feel like, yes, that is 100% what we have seen go on here.
For us,
when that news came a couple of weeks ago, again, I'm human. There was a part of me that wanted to be that "I told you so. I told you so." I can't do that, man. I'm not about to celebrate someone's downfall. Because the truth is, I hope they can find peace and get help and live a healthy, happy life. I wasn't
How many
always
times have we sat back and just let the fraudsters just hang themselves? How many years have we been doing this? And you never hear us say their name. You never hear us talk about them. They hang themselves. And then every so often we'll reference certain people. Like, I mean, Tori's one of them, out of Georgia with her P.O. box and claiming she was helping dads. And we just sat back and watched her get arrested.
Yeah.
Minnesota, hey. The scariest people right now are not guys in suits. The scariest people right now, thankfully they're on our side, are guys in T-shirts and jeans with a camera. Nick Shirley's out here in California right now, and everyone is losing their mind. Joe Rogan's another one, does long-form podcasts. He's in a T-shirt. Sean Ryan in a T-shirt. Theo Vaughn in a T-shirt with a camera. You in a T-shirt with a camera. And all of us point out fraud at one point in time, and then we just sit back.
You know, the scary thing is when you point out fraud, you have to be really careful. You may be well-intentioned, you may be doing the right thing, but you don't know who all is involved. And that's when you rattle the cages. And then you become a target.
Yeah. The most famous T-shirt wearing First Amendment rights guy out there, Charlie Kirk.
And what happens when you have a problem with one of these government agencies? And then where do you got to go to get relief of that problem or to solve whatever it is? You got to go to another government agency, the courthouse.
Yeah.
And they know how to silence people. They know how to silence people good, especially people with not much means. You know, attorneys paying those fees. You go any further, you know, they don't want good people to talk.
They tried silencing Jeff Younger. He's like,
No.
throw me in jail. I'm going to speak. They tried silencing Mark Fishman out of New York. Same thing. Throw me in jail. I'm going to speak. Rabbi Jacob Belinsky out of Colorado. They tried silencing him. Took all his kids. He just won in court. But he had to go all the way up to the Ninth Circuit.
I want to try to get some order because I feel like we're all over the place and I'm okay with it. Again, thank you guys for being here. It's been a while. Listen to me. Nothing matters more to me than the truth. Nothing. I still to this day, man, I don't think I've ever been able to talk to anyone about this whole story. I know very little about anything, honestly. Very, very little. And
you want to do like a 3-day recap of where it was going?
Yeah, I mean,
and then turn south. That way people know what I mean, most people know what happened, but they're making stuff up in between.
You know, most of the time can pick up on what was going on. But dude, again, like I think it was a couple weeks ago I was watching, I think I told you about this. There was a lady, she's leaving her husband of 50 years, dude. Yeah. 50 years. Because she got a message on Facebook by this guy and started doing this back and forth. And she thinks she's having an affair with him. She's sending him money. They're about to move out. Never even had a FaceTime or anything with him. And when I found out his name was the crazy thing, it was Elon Musk. This lady thinks that, yeah, the richest man in the world. He wants her.
Yeah.
In her mid-70s. And he needs money. He needs you to, you know, a couple of $100. Richest man in the world. He needs that. But because it was on the internet, never underestimate what somebody's seeing on the internet, like people will believe anything, dude. They really will. They will believe anything. And that's why allowing people to go out and put misinformation and stuff like that. I haven't talked about that yet, but I'm not planning on letting that go, Mark. Let me ask you, if it was you, somebody was out there, my daughter is one of the hardest working girls at her age that I've seen. She had turned 18. The girl lives in the country. It might be even countrier than what I saw up there. Much different type of country. She drives an hour to work. I mean, this girl has gotten just about every award that you can get in school, dude. She's brilliant. She's been in gifted and honors classes her whole life. Where she got it, I don't know. She lived with her mom for 12 years, came and lived with me for 3 or 4, then went back. She's with her mom right now, but we've been there for that girl. Drives an hour to work, dude. Such a hard worker. Every time I go in there, her employer always brags on her to the point that where she lives in the country, it's one of those dirt roads that it's almost like a roller coaster. You're going to feel beat up when you do it.
Yeah.
And her car was not good shape, man. It was ready to kick the bucket. And because she wasn't 18 yet, she couldn't get credit. And I was ready. I was going to sign for her and try to get it anyway. Long story short, dude, that girl worked so hard. Her employer went and got her a car and just said, pay me back when you can. I need you at work. And she said, I appreciate you. That tells you about her work ethic. She's a senior. She'll be graduating this year. Second year in a row getting homecoming court. It was right after I got back from West Virginia. I got that text message, Daddy, I want you to walk me onto homecoming court. Of course. Of course. And when that happened, I got the picture. And dude, that's what I've done. You know, I've tried to be nice. I know the people going and grabbing my photos, saying all kinds of nasty junk, man. I've allowed certain parts of my life to be shared. And the ones that I share the most is my kids. Everybody, I want the world to know how proud I am of my kids, especially her, as hard as she worked. Now she's on homecoming court. Dude, when they called her onto the field, I didn't think they was ever going to stop reading those awards. And then I have to go see people accuse her of using West Virginia money to buy her dress and just made it all about them. Some of the nastiest things you could to a 17-year-old child. Like, at what point does your amusement or trolling, where does it go to? There's some disgusting human beings out there, dude. And as her father, like, look, man, I've been doing this for 7 years now. I know what to expect. I don't read the comments. I tell people all the time, don't do it. Rogan's one of my favorite. Since this has been going on and I haven't been able to podcast as much because everybody wants it to be about that certain subject, I've been getting to listen to him. And I don't think the last 15 episodes, if anybody else listens to it, he hasn't had a section where he's telling people, don't read the comments.
Yeah, right.
Like, this is what people do. And I had learned that a long time ago anyway, but every once in a while I'd be like, I love interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
My show for years, dude, was put it down in the comments. I'll bring it in and we're going to make you a part of the show. You can't do that now. But attacking my child, man, would you let that go? But here's the thing. What do I do?
You know me.
What do I do? Sue in court? I can prove the defamation.
Hey, I'm headed to the Ninth Circuit myself on that same, well, not that same. It's a different defamation.
I'll say this. If there's any attorneys out there and you want to take on these cases, I can prove it in every single way. There's a lot of defamation cases out there, and these people that went into business for themselves trying to make accusations towards me or family, they have no morals about them whatsoever. And they did what they did. Like, I don't care that I'm destroying somebody's life or their reputation, trying to hurt them financially or whatever I'm doing. But at the end, guys, please don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. pieces of crap, dude. There's any attorneys out there that want to take that on? I don't want a penny of that money, Mark. I wouldn't take it. That's blood money, bro. I thought about this long and hard. That fight for dads, that means something to me. It means something to me. I'd love to be able to help them go and fight in court to go get their children. But all you're doing is giving money to an attorneys and then feeding the system that created that mess. And I couldn't look myself in the mirror with that. But, I thought about this as a dad, like what's the most important thing to me looking back when I was going through that. A lot of these dads, they might wake up and find out she's got another man. You're about to go through a divorce. Now I got to go get an attorney. And while you're going through this, she ends up getting the house. You're going to pay, while you're paying the attorney, you're probably going to have to pay her attorney too, all because she wanted to have an affair and leave you. And now you're probably going to lose the kid, maybe even this. Now you got to go get a new house. By the time that the kid comes to your house, if you do get some time, Dad, I'm hungry. You got anything to eat? Hey, buddy, I'll try to get you something, and that counter's nothing in it. No furniture. Daddy, I want to play video games. You don't have a TV. I want to go to Mama's house. Mama's got food. She's got everything I want. You don't. Little kid don't know. Yeah, Mama's got all that. So I'm paying for it, bud. But Dad has to, just keep that quiet. And it makes that to where, the kid doesn't want to go to Dad's. That's not fun. I don't have anything. That dad, that's the one I'm looking for, Mark. What if that money could be used to send him on a vacation? On the beach or to an amusement park? Memories. The one thing in this life that can last forever. That's kind of where my head is. If I do it, say it right now, live video, 100% of those proceeds go to those dads. I don't want a penny of it. But those little fake reporters out there, I hope you had your fun. Because it is not fun. And you don't know what it's like being on the other side of that screen. You're talking about real people's lives here. You have no credibility. Like that day, again, sitting there with my brother and playing that Call of Duty, and like my phone starts going off all about these, I'm in jail. And there was one girl particularly. I'm not going to say any of their names. People probably already know who I'm talking about anyway. One girl in particular. I've got reports that Lawrence Eric Carroll is in jail. Had to bring my first name into this. And that's something I've never liked, because I'll tell you, the only time that ever got used, I used to get wrote up a lot in school. I was a little mischievous, the preacher's son. And they would call out my name over the intercom, please send Lawrence Carroll to the office, and the whole classroom, ooh, Lawrence. They're all looking at me. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, I've got nightmares from that. I was like, that person, you ain't getting no reports. You ain't got no sources. None of it was true. Show your sources. Show them. You don't have them. You never did.
The New York Post?
Oh, well, I saw somebody post it on Facebook. That's not a source, honey. Yeah. And you're making a damaging comment. Now, I will say right now, my name, Mark, should have never been listed beside that, ever. That was my father's name, my grandfather. It was passed down to me. It means something to me. I pass it on to my kids, and they're going to pass it on to their kids. I did nothing to deserve that. My name should have never been listed beside that. And anybody that made those claims, man. And how this was allowed to go on this long, it was a couple of weeks ago, Martin Luther King Day. One of my favorite quotes by him, because it's so true. Justice delayed is justice denied. Because there's so much that can go on. I've had to sit there for longer than anything that happened last year and watch this. My wife, my kids, my finances. People aren't even close to knowing it.
Your other relatives, too, got involved. They got dragged into it. Brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws.
Dude, I had, friends I hadn't talked to in years. Eric, you know this such and such. He's like, man, this guy's messaging me, and asking. I'm like, oh my god, it's crazy, dude.
Well,
And the
look
other
at
part of that,
O'Keefe.
what's that?
Look at O'Keefe. He's not letting it go. Jen Psaki and Colbert said he's the one who released the Ashley Biden diaries. He's like, no, I didn't. So he's demanding a retraction and he's suing him for defamation. Retract it or get sued for defamation.
No,
Trump.
honest to God, truth, dude. There's that part of me that is just so tired, and it's like I want this over with and never to think about it again. Just I'm done. I can't do that.
Well, think about how many people you could be helping if we weren't wasting our time with this. There's a court
Never
system
been
and
that
an
much of a
agency.
religious guy, even being a pastor's son, dude. But I looked at it this way. It's the Super Bowl. Right there at the end, you got time for one more play. It's going to be controversial. It's going to be a really controversial play. There's only one person. Coach knows, or God knows, that's the one that needs to be in there. He'll make that play. This is when I need him. When I ask myself, how in the world did I end up in odd West Virginia? I was needed for a play.
Yeah.
And that's confusing because that might give a scenario that just isn't, I don't know, man. It sucks. It sucks. It feels like you got to talk in riddles. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm trying to do here.
Yes and no. I mean, why were we there, right? Everyone knows why we were there. And then what played out? What got lined up? What is everyone guessing about, and what actually happened and what actually took place? If you watched the lives, which most people did and followed along, they saw the progression of everything, and then they saw a couple events that flipped it on its head. I mean, you're literally talking about a restraining order and maybe half a day, and everyone's getting a brand new home. The Amish are involved. The county's involved. Everywhere we went was involved. Survey was involved.
And then, well, when I couldn't get those restraining orders,
It wasn't you.
After being
You
there,
got the restraining order. It was
okay.
the people responsible for the follow-up.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about the process of getting the orders. Dude, I got told about a situation 12 hours before sitting here in Georgia that someone was facing abuse. I went and talked to my wife, made sure everybody was okay. Next morning, as soon as I woke up, gone. Had the car packed, gone. Did the trip. I'm here. How can I help? I wasn't supposed to be there yet. I had it planned for I think a month from then. I was going to go up. I heard something was going on and people need help. That didn't put no extra money in my pocket. I didn't get a bonus, nothing.
It was just the right thing to do.
It was the right thing to do. And when I found out, after 2 days of trying, and that's when I called APS. And so I think people think and I was very public, I made a post about that. But what they don't know, it was already involved. It was already involved. Not for me, Anyway.
You want to let people know what we were doing? Why all the BS was
know,
going on in
dude.
the background?
I want people to know everything, but it sucks. It sucks. You don't know what. I'm sorry, bro.
It's fine.
It's already involved. day one. And see, that's a little confusing because your day one was like my day 15 or 16. Because I was already there.
So day one for you, Mr. Mass, and myself, because you picked us up in Charlotte. That's day one.
My apologies. It's been a long time. I just thought about something. I said something completely wrong. I said I was going to be going up there like a month later. No, I was supposed to be going there the next week. I was like 1 week away. And when I went up, I was going to take care of the situation, come back home, and then go back up because you had a ticket and Robert Mass did too. We already had it planned so we could go meet the Amish.
Well, you got to give people the dynamics of you're in Georgia. You drove on your own time to Charlotte to pick us up and then drive back to West Virginia, then up to Virginia to meet with the Amish for free. So just think about those 4 states.
Dude, those first couple
Who's
of
out
months,
there right now this weekend driving that distance for someone they don't know?
those first couple of months, I was using my money that I had made.
I know, but a lot of people that
I know.
If we had the
But I'm
comments
just saying.
on, they'd be going, okay, well, what happened? Well, just think of this. You won't even drive that. There's people who won't drive around the block for their relatives. You went to 4 states in a weekend. Not even a weekend, on a Thursday or Wednesday, whenever we flew in.
Dude, it's always the guilty dog that barks the loudest, but like the people that criticize the most, they wouldn't be caught dead doing half the things.
But
Dealing
people
with
that know us,
excrement, or so many different scenarios. And the truth of the matter is there was so much more that never got on camera.
Yeah.
That wasn't why. Okay. I guess this would be like one of the big things people ask, like, well, why was it on camera? First off, this has been on camera decades before I got involved. Okay. Even in that current situation with Patrick, he was doing that for like a month or so, if not more, before I got involved. I reached out for an interview. I almost said a name. I got to be careful. And I wanted to reach out because if intentions are pure, I've been watching this family for years. I love them. To be honest with you, Mark, it reminded me of my childhood. And I could prove that very easily, but seeing what I've seen now, think differently about things. I've told it before. Anybody that never saw that video with me and Patrick that we made, Who Are We, whatever. When I was a kid with my dad's church, dude, we had a girl that I went to Sunday school with for years. She had a brother too. They always came with their mom. They had a dad too, but he never came. I never even met the guy. And as a kid, it was kind of hidden from me. My dad did a really good job of protecting. I know that now. But what had happened is the girl was 11. She kept getting really, really sick. And they could not find out what was wrong with her. They took her to all kinds of specialists. Couldn't find out. And one day, I was told, we're going to bring her to the hospital, and she is not leaving until we figure out what's going on. They ran all the tests on her and came back and told her mom, said, look, we've been up and down, lifted up every stone. There's only one thing we can find, and we just don't want to believe it. It's like, well, what is it? And he says, she's pregnant. And mom was just like, there is no way. There is no way this is true. I mean, like, at all. And so they had to sit down and go through all these different scenarios. Where's she been? What's she done? The only thing that came up, dude, twice a week. The only time she was ever without her mom, twice a week, she went fishing with her dad. Her biological father, Mark. Biological. Which pisses me off even more because 20 years later, got out, family member that wanted to take up for him said, come stay at our house. He never did anything wrong. They had a little girl, and it happened again. From what I know, I think he's still locked up if he hasn't died. If he has died, good riddance. I hate to be harsh about it, but I mean, that's not harsh. That's not harsh.
We call
Anyway.
that Cain Velasquez.
Yeah.
Out here in California, that's called the Cain Velasquez.
I would raise money for Cain. Uh-oh. One more viewer. We need it. We're on 666 right now. Okay, 664. Good. Happened to see that. But my dad ended up taking her to Tennessee. I remember when I was a kid because Mama and Daddy told us they had to leave and they didn't tell us why. You know, I forget what story they had told us. And, you know, as a young kid, you just want to know, where's Mom, where's Dad? And they was gone for a while. What had happened is my dad went, he had found a place for her in Tennessee where they took care of her and watched her and then helped her have the child. And then after he went and got her, brought her back home. And that girl, the daughter, bright young girl, healthy, still going, I guess probably in her 30s now. And my dad watched after the family. He made sure they had what they needed. He made sure nobody messed with that family. You weren't going to mess with my old man. I know a lot of people think that about their parents, but I keep it right here beside me. It's one of the only, you don't realize, guys out there, listen to me. And remember this. If you got your mom or you got your dad, they're still living right now. One, go give them a hug, kiss them on the cheek, let them know how much you appreciate them for being there for you and how much you love them. But also, when you are around, get some pictures, because you aren't going to realize what those pictures mean until this is the only way you've got to spend with them. And this picture daily of that man right there. I'm so thankful for my father, Mark. He's the one that taught me to care for other people. But 6'7", size 17 shoe, no, nobody messed with that family. I can tell you that.
Right?
Yeah. And he was the preacher man. He was always there if they needed to go to the grocery store or whatever, because he didn't drive. And I remember watching that, dude. And so, like, I grew up with it. And just watching the humanity that my father put out there. My dad established a food bank. He was always doing something in the community. As a kid, I'm not going to lie to you, I sit here and brag about my dad now. It was opposite as a child. I hated it. I despised it. Yep. He was always doing something for somebody. And as a son, I just wanted my dad at home, dude. And then, to make it even worse, the ones he did the most for, dude, were always the one to put the knife in his back. Or he didn't do enough.
We've learned that the hard way.
Huh?
We've learned that the hard way.
Yes. And you've got two options. You can quit and say, I'm not doing that anymore. Or you can realize there was probably a reason they needed help. And sometimes when you help those that need help, it's not always fun or rewarding. You might get rewarded in a way that you don't like. And I can tell you more times than often, it is the other way around. But there is something about giving or doing for other people, man, that just, to me, better feeling the money or anything out there. This life is short. Money is fake. Social media is fake. That glory, that fame that people go for on the TikTok, all of it, just fake, man. Making someone's life better. It's just, dude, it's what I saw. And the world used to have a lot more in that. There was things that was done that people would rant and rave over that I'm like, what is special about this? You know? Like back in the day, that's just what people did. Anyway, dude.
Memories are all you take with you. You got one shot. Memories are all that you take with you. So you got one shot to make as many as possible. Don't
I
screw it
tell
up.
you what, man, I miss that man so much. Last week was a hard one for me because on the 22nd was my mom's birthday. It was also the day my dad died. 2013, just not long after Christmas. He had never been sick, only 63 years old. He was getting a kidney stone operation. It was something people got all the time, no big deal. I called him earlier that day, told him I wanted to be there because he was at the VA in Atlanta and a couple hours away. And he's like, nope, stay at home. Stay at your job. You know, he's like, you got a job, you need to make money, be there for your family, stay. And he told me, but I was begging. There was something in me. I wanted to go up there, even though I was told him, dude, there was nothing wrong, bro. I'll never forget it. It's like it happened yesterday. 12 o'clock on the dot. Not 01, not 02, not 03. 12 o'clock, 00. My phone rang. When I answered, it was my mom. And she was hysterical. Like, your dad is dying. My first reaction was, no, he's not. No, he's not. It's like he's having a panic attack. We all have bad anxiety in the family. She's like, no, he's not, Eric. He's dying. I was like, let me talk to him. Let me talk to him. And all I could hear him saying is, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I'm like, Daddy, you're having a panic attack. Calm down. Calm down. Breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. My mom got the phone and I said, Mama, I'm on the way. I'm getting Amanda and Sean, my brothers, and my brother and sister. And at that time, we lived very close to each other. Man, it took no time. I think I was in my pajamas. I peeled out in the car. My brother and sister got in the car. It was the longest drive I've ever had. Felt like it. We got 10 minutes down the road before the phone rang. They said, he's gone. He died on her birthday. When that time of year comes around, you know, we try to be there for my mom. She relives it. And I know good and well she's watching me right now. And as much as I tell other people to do it, let me do something for a second. It's been a while since I did this. I love you, Mother. Thank you for being there for me. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for how you made it out of that. But I'd say the best thing that my parents gave me was to care for other people, bro.
Yep. I love your mom too, and your wife.
I talk about my dad a lot because I don't have my dad. Man, there's a hole in my heart, bro. It hurts. It hurts so bad. When you don't have that time and it's just sudden like that, oh my God. You know, at least like when you're taking care of them and stuff, you kind of know something's coming. And just bam. So I talk about my dad a lot, but I got to give it to my mom too, man. I'd say from 7th grade throughout the rest of my high school years, that's what my mom did. She sat with special needs. And so there was a program in Georgia called Pathways. And what they did, the patients with special needs, every one of them had something different. They would get them their own apartment, and then they had somebody that stayed with them. They would take them to get food, grocery shopping. Some of them got to work jobs. You know, they tried to give them as normal of a life as you could possibly give them, but they still needed somebody there with them. And that's what my mom did. And so I got to be around that all the time. It just was, I didn't even think about it. You know, on Sundays, the state, they're usually very, very careful with stuff like this. It was just, you know, because of what she did, they had a van and they would allow my mom to get all of the patients and bring them to my dad's church. So they was at the church every every Sunday. And I got to talk and be around him and like learn. Because one thing I've noticed a lot of times, they are a lot smarter than people give them credit for. Just about every single one of them, way smarter than people give them credit. But there was one in particular that I meshed the most with. His name was Keith. Big, muscular black guy, dude. And he couldn't talk. And I'm not doing this to mock him or anything. He would go, that's all he could do. But he would shake his head and point. Yeah, And I love Keith, man. I'd get out there and play basketball and stuff with him. But Keith had seizures. And when he had seizures, he would get violent. He didn't mean it, but it was one of the things that came with Keith. So there was a lot of ladies. They were scared or they didn't want to sit with Keith. My mom would tell you this story too. One day at the church, Keith started having that seizure. And he went and sat in the corner and just kind of like blocking himself off. And I got close to him and the ladies were like, Eric, stay back. And I was like, I just remember going up, dude, taking my hand, putting on the back. Nothing big. And I just said, Keith, you okay? I remember him looking at me, had a little tear. And it was almost like, even though he couldn't talk, I knew what he was saying. Like, you're not scared of me? Didn't get violent or anything, dude. I'd say about 5 minutes later, popped out of it. And after that moment, me and him, that was my buddy. We'd play basketball and all kinds of stuff, man. It's just such a good feeling. I feel wrong talking about it right now. I had never talked about that before, ever, on the podcast.
Well, it kind of ties in because Mom had her favorite in the family. We know who it is. Your mom.
Yeah.
When we started this project, had her favorite. I'm leaving it as Mom knows who that person is.
And you got all these people like in the world that judge and have these feelings on what's going on, and then there's people that was there and know. But I would just say this: just look at the way people react when they're around others. I think that tells you. You can tell. There's those people. They can tell when somebody's there to love them, and they can tell when somebody's not. And if you watch how they are around people, it tells you a lot. And again, like I said, I learned. I didn't, not right away, but just over the years being there with them, that they're a lot smarter than people give them credit for. They just got challenges. No different than any of us. We got challenges too, just not on that level, And so, yeah, dude, I don't know how, an hour and 14 minutes. Sorry, guys. I know there's a lot out there. I just want the dirty details. It's not what I'm here to do, man.
We don't even have to give the dirt. We just give the truth and the facts. And
that's it.
People will be like, oh, I was thinking this. And it's like, of course you were, because you weren't there.
Oh, man. I've questioned whether to do this. I don't want to.
I do want to name the names of the locals that helped us.
Yeah, and I got to get the cards, but we got the cards.
Yeah. People were bending over backwards for us. That should let you know people's hearts towards this situation.
There's one that pops up in mind like immediately. I don't know if I want to say their full name.
I mean, you can say like who did what and maybe just give a first name. They'll know who they are.
Linnea Brooks.
Okay.
Thank you. That was the person that took care of the Airbnb where we were at. That was the person that called me to let me know there was an Airbnb that was left in not such an ideal situation.
Yeah.
Asked me to come over there. Was also a person that provided us with a home because we had to leave from that place because people, and again, when people were finding us, they were there to support. But it was like, guys, it was kind of scary. We were being told, look, all of us up here, we support you, but you need to watch your back. You're uncovering something and you don't realize how big it is. Then there was that telephone call when we was on the highway that one night. You remember that lady that called and said, I can't give you my name, but I got your number from law enforcement because I am law enforcement. She's like, we're supporting you. We're all back here. We know what you're doing. Thank you. It's about time. I had so many people say, you're the first one that actually did what needed to be done in that area. So many times. And there's some things so simple. How do you, medical care, man.
Well, that family that found us when we were up there, and a certain person came over in their wheelchair and made a specific statement that seemed really, really odd to me. This is the first time I'm meeting this guy, and hadn't even done a background, check. Didn't know his Florida situation. I know all that now because I looked into it, and I'm like, oh, this is who we're dealing with. But yeah, when he came rolling over in his wheelchair and we've got 3 people standing there warning us about him, this is the first time I meet this guy. And the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, did you know Betty took a certain amount of money, and he threw a number out there, out of her account today? Now, I don't know this guy from Adam, and he's talking about Betty and her account. And I'm going, how would this guy even know what Betty's doing? So that was red flag number 1 for me, because I'm all the way out from California. Mr. Mass is out from Idaho, and I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. But yeah, that was a red flag for me. Like, what? And the other story that you told me about with the tools and the gentleman that you just got the phone handed to you.
Dude, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. It was right after. Because again, I mean, nobody was more shocked about the situation and my involvement than me. It came out of the middle of nowhere. One day I was just a guy watching, and the next day I'm asked, will you help me do this? And that was much more than an interview. Go ahead.
I'm just closing the shade. It was hitting me in the face.
Gotcha. Yeah. It went from asking about an interview to, will you help me do this? You've been doing this. I've never done it. You know how to do social media. And of course, because I was passionate behind the subject, I was looking for something to work on outside of dad talk because my head was screwed up. I have had so many murder cases, guys, not with just dads getting killed, but little kids. And God only knows the amount of those cases I had involvement with, talking and consulting for free with the family behind closed doors, and it was never on screen. And I'd never wanted to be the guy that talked about people getting killed. That happened after John got killed. John came on my show in 2020 on Thanksgiving, and 2 months later was killed in the parking lot trying to go get his kids. And after that initial story, those started coming out of the woodwork. Then I started getting the reports on the kids getting killed by their mom. It's called filicide. Guys, do me a favor. I'm not trying to make this a dad talk episode. It is a dad talk episode. I can't go live on Facebook. I swear to God, that's the honest truth. This is not about money. I got comments and everything turned off. But look up mom kills child and just look how crazy it is and how underreported. But again, Minnesota, ICE, that's what you're going to see. They know how to keep our country arguing with each other because that's where the money comes in, is the comments. The more you can get people fussing. They don't care if you're supporting or if you're hating. News
Back
to
to
the haters
drugs.
out there. The people that hate in the comments, you're actually making that person money. So that's why they want you arguing in those comments. If you
Yeah,
never
the little
figured
kid
that
that
out.
got blown up because his mom was cooking meth. That not too many people, go look that story up that you did. Brian Adams.
No. Not meth. She was making hash.
Well, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Drugs.
Oh, I mean,
We'll leave it at drugs. And
yeah.
I
And
mean,
you know what, dude?
look that story up.
I feel so bad to this day because I thought that story was fake. I was treating them like somebody was trying to troll me or get over on me. This was first year of Dad Talk, probably first 6 months. I was still figuring out who I am, what I'm doing. And when they came to me and I heard the story, I was like, there's no way mainstream media is not reporting on this story. It has everything that they're looking for, sensationalism, everything. Like, I know mainstream media would be on this. There's no way they're coming to me for help. I'm just a podcast, and I just started out. And so what I asked is, I was like, do you mind us doing a video call? And once I got on video call, I found out how real it was. And my mind was blown. Brian Adams was 14 years old, up in Michigan. He had been in, his mom and dad had been in a custody dispute. His dad had been trying to fight for him for years. He couldn't get custody. And he should have had custody. Mom was staying in a hotel with Brian. And one night, while Brian was asleep over on the couch, she was making hash. And something about the process that she was using, she needed butane or propane to extract the THC. And so the whole hotel room was nothing but like gas fumes. And at some point in time, she got the idea that she was going to light herself up a cigarette. When she did, it literally went off like a bomb. And they were on the top floor of the hotel. It blew Brian out the window. And he went all the way to the ground, Mark. You never got to meet Brian, did you?
I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think you ever got to be on any of those trips. I used to bring him out, guys. The last time I was up in Michigan, I brought him out and paid him. I let him be the camera guy and the assistant. That's my buddy, dude. When he saw this situation going down, you want to talk about somebody pissed? People was putting misinformation out there on me. And he's a good kid, dude. But it blew Brian out the hotel room. And they took him to 3 different hospitals. And the first 2 told him, actually all 3 told him, there's nothing we can do. All we can do is keep him comfortable. There's no way. I got to hear from one of the nurses that she said when Brian came in and she saw him, you know how when you got the fever, you get the chills? I guess it's the same when he got burned. He said he was freezing, even though his skin was literally boiling. He wrote a story one time, man, and it just, listen to me, Brian. You got a book. You need to share that story, buddy. Nobody believes in you more than I do, and I will be there to help you any way I can. But just things that we wouldn't think of. He was talking about that feeling, remembering what it was like smelling his own burning flesh. And, oh, man, dude. But that nurse said that when she came in there and saw Brian, she told him she would be right back. And she ran down the hall, found an empty room, and locked the door and fell to her knees and just started bawling her eyes out. And she said she was screaming at God, saying, take him now. Just take him now. And the Shriners heard about it. I don't know. I don't remember the detail on how they found out about it, but they did. And they called that hospital right away and said, we want him immediately. And they went and got a helicopter and life flighted him out, I think, to Boston. And to this day, man, Brian owes his life to those Shriners. And, I always try to mention that organization because those 3 hospitals said there's nothing we can do. We can give them pain meds. That's it. And you want to talk about somebody with the pain addiction stuff or like pain pill addiction, he went through it. Obviously. But now, because of what his mom did, he won't take any pain medication or anything, Mark. and the surgeries that he's getting, to not take any pain medication. Oh my God, dude. That kid has been through, I think, 250 plus. He used to know the number. When we first started talking, he knew it was around 200, and he would tell me because he had to go almost every month back when we first started talking, because once the skin gets burned, it doesn't grow anymore. And I mean, he was a growing boy. He was, he was still growing. So they would have to go in there and like just cut the skin and add in pig skin. And what did he call it? Releases is what he called it. That way it gave him room to grow. And then his dad, who didn't have custody, alienated, had been fighting in the system, now gets custody, after this happens. But because of the care that Brian needed at that age, he couldn't work. Brian needed care around the clock. He had a medicine, like a lotion that he had to put on 3 times a day to keep the skin moist. That cost $30 a day. Now you do that 31, days in a month. And then his dad had to be there for all of that. But dude, the reason that they initially reached out to me wasn't because of all that, because Brian, it had been like 2 or 3 years since that. So he had already made it through. I could not believe it when I heard it. Brian was about to die, Mark. This kid who had been through all of that, 200 plus surgeries, was about to die. And when I met him, he had a trachea. They had to cut his airway open. And that's how he had been living for a while. He needed a surgery immediately to save his life. And it was going to cost, I think, $150,000. And because of the situation, his insurance denied him. Said pre-existing condition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pre-existing condition.
Getting blown up by hash and butane was pre-existing.
Yeah, he had to. They were going to have to completely do his airway and like reconstruct it and reroute it and everything. And so he had that trachea, and he said that was one of the most painful things. He wanted it gone so bad. And yeah, they were not going to pay for the surgery. And so when the dad reached out to me, he's like, I'm trying to save my son. He's like, can you help me raise the money? And I took that serious, dude. And I did so many podcasts with Brian and his dad, Rob. And dude, I think I was able to raise a couple of $1,000s in that time. And it was, not even making a dent. And you're talking about somebody that, like, it was such a dire situation. But that's when I started learning, and that's what gets me a lot interested, like in how people react and how the media is with this thing. Because I was telling his dad, I was like, the reason you haven't, probably heard from them, I'm like, they like sensationalism. And I was like, I couldn't believe you. I was like, I'm sorry that I ever doubted you, but I seriously could not believe they had not covered this. And I said, man, I've got one option. I was like, I can try it. And I think if I can get the situation hot and they see it, they might want to cover it. And he was like, Eric, do whatever you got to do. So me and him spent a whole day. And back then, Dad Talk was a blog for the first year. I would do like blog posts and stuff. So I made up this article talking about Brian's story. And it was teenage boy burned in hotel fire while mom was making drugs. I knew instantly, media is going to see that and run with it. And, we did it, dude. The media caught on to it because it got shared out there, got in contact. We got Brian on like 15 or 20 different local news outlets. It was the Thanksgiving weekend of 2019. We raised $175,000 for that boy. We got Brian that surgery. And he is still going. He's still kicking, baby. And yeah, I love that. None of them wanted to research any of that, right? But, and in here, you want another part that'll piss you off. Guess what happened after he got that money? Insurance comes calling back.
Yeah, of course.
We want to pay for your surgery.
Yeah, now. Because we look like an ass.
And I do believe
denying a burn child. Insurance.
He was literally going to die, Mark.
I know.
And
Well, that's
so,
the reason I bring this up, is because this current situation is not your first rodeo.
good God, no. But I've never been in the public eye like this. This was on
I
a
mean, it
different
may be
level.
your biggest rodeo, right? You're finally at the PBR, but
I want
for,
off. I
for
want
all
off
the
the
wrong
bull.
reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, I want off the bull.
Yep.
But oh, good God, no, dude. I mean, I've tried my best.
And we can just go down the list. I mean, there's Brian.
I
There's
don't, but I don't want to do that.
That's what I mean. That the list is long. So when people think there was any other ulterior motives than what we've always been doing.
But here's the bottom line: I do got to live.
Yep.
And so, for years, I done all of it for free, man. I would go up there, go to like court battles or you name it, march the capitals, and like there was a handful of people that saw what I did and wanted to support me. And that's what kept me going. It wasn't the monetization. And the crazy thing is I had a hell of a following. I had like 1.5 million followers before I got
still
any
do.
of that. My following hasn't went up or down on Dad Talk during that whole situation. I had one. I had a platform. I didn't need that. I was passionate about that. There was opportunity there. And I tell you, if the right thing was done, everybody would be taken care of. Just do the right thing, man. And what gets me more than anything, Mark, is it's such a beautiful thing to do. I had so many people say, like, I had lost all faith in humanity, but this is, turning that around. And then
everybody was behind it except 3 grifters. Everybody. From that state to other states to across the pond to Canada, everybody was behind
it's
it.
Mark talking, not me. Not saying I agree or disagree.
Except 3 grifters. I'll name names. I'll name.
You can, and I'm not.
No, I will. I mean,
I know,
because
I'll get blamed for it.
Well, I'll say my opinion and my fact of being front and center firsthand, and Mr. Mass. So what's Mr. Mass's agenda? What's my agenda? What was the reason that Mr. Mass was out there? And then tell him what was the reason that I was out there.
What was your agenda, Mark? Why was you there?
I was going to project manage the bill. What was Mr. Mass's reasoning for being there?
To introduce me to the Amish.
Okay. So,
and he did.
Yeah,
we had 3 days. All right, let's do this. So I had been there almost 2 weeks. We can talk about some more of it later, but the day you guys get in, we had planned that a good bit before. Again, I wasn't supposed to be out there until the day these guys flew in, because my plan was to drive up from Georgia to Charlotte, then go to West Virginia. That's a lot of freaking driving. Instead, I ended up a week beforehand going up there, an extra week in Airbnbs and gas and food and the whole 9 yards. I only had, I think, 2 outfits, man. I wore that same American Eagle shirt and shorts, and I didn't end up buying me any clothes. And I think until like week 2, I was like, I got to do something.
I went with you to Walmart. That wasn't on video.
But that was what was supposed to be going down. But I was already there, so now I got to go to Charlotte, get you guys, and I think you came a couple hours apart. You from California, him from Idaho. Robert Mass, for context, guys, one of the nicest, amazing human beings I've met. And I've met a lot of people. You just don't understand the Mass family.
There's nobody more genuine than Mr. Mass.
John, I keep these on my desk, dude. And it's like the first thing I start out my day with. My dad, John. I met them when their son got killed. And I found out that they were Amish. And so I learned a lot about the Amish lifestyle. Um, and when my number one thing was wanting to get a nonprofit or wanting to get some type of outside source, not only to help build, but to handle money, because I don't want to handle money. You want to know why I don't want to handle money, Mark? What are we doing right now? So I did not want to handle money.
Yep.
I reached out to the Appalachian Project. I had reached out to Habitat for Humanity, anybody and everybody, guys. I had like so many different things that went down. And then I used to, back when I did read the comments and would go and try to be like one-on-one with the community, somebody had mentioned the Amish, and I was like, hey, I didn't think about it right away, but then I was like, hey, I have someone that might be able to help. And that's when I called up Robert, and he was like, absolutely, Eric, they would get behind this. Up until that point, he didn't know about this story, nothing. But when he heard what I was doing, and he knew what I'd been there for his son, guys, y'all just don't know how much that family's been there for me.
One of the most meaningful lawsuit.
One of the most meaningful messages I got. I told you, my phone was silent for a very long time there for a couple of months. And then the day somebody got arrested, man, my phone went off the hook. And I was like, why now? You've had all this time, and I could have used some friendly ears, Why now? I'm not trying to make myself out like, dude, it's so easy to become a victim in your own mind. I am such a blessed guy. I'm here. I got my family, got my wife, my dog. I got you. I had so many things to be thankful for. I got to remind myself about that, because I have went deep down in that. Why me? Why me? But that, it was one of those moments. It was so dark. I swear to God, man, again, I'm not really spiritual or religious, but that guy's got a relationship with God. That family does. I know they do, because he knows the right moment and when. When I made that documentary about John, I knew the way the media was going to spin it. And it was going to be like a us versus them thing. And immediately just came out, I stand with John. One day when it was at its worst, dude, I got a card in the mail from the Mass family. And I almost remember it verbatim. It's like, Eric, you was always there to stand with us and stand with our family in our darkest moments. And you always stood beside John and was faithful. We just wanted you to know we're here to stand with you. And it came at the moment, dude, that I needed it. I've got somebody here with me when you feel like you got the whole world, but I got to stop going off on my tangents.
So he was there, and we had scheduled 3 days because we were going to go to 3 different communities.
That was the plan. He didn't know. They lived in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is where the Amish, that's like their headquarters. That's their DC, right? But you got Amish kind of all spread out throughout the country, and Mennonites or whatever. But there was one in particular that he had knew, and that his family knew, and he had met him at a church one time, and he said he was a really good guy. I think if we can meet him, that's going to be our best chance. But we had it planned to where if we had to go to Ohio or somewhere else, that we were going to do it. We had 3 days planned. That's why you and him came out. So I picked them up day one. That day, because it was travel, I know what it's like flying out of Idaho. No fun. I knew Robert. And guys, let's just give a little bit more context. Robert's almost 80 years old, 79 years old. He had just fell like the week before and really messed up his knee. So he was barely walking. His wife was recovering from a few months before she broke her hip. And she didn't get a hip replacement. She got titanium. Okay? You can bounce back from a hip replacement a little bit quicker. She had got titanium. And then after he gets back home, she breaks her other hip. And he was the main caretaker. Still, he came out and he let me know, I'm good. I'm blessed. I believe in what you're doing and I want to be there. Comes out there. So that first day was just meant to get in here and relax, you know. And that next day, that was when we had it planned to go. We kind of used that first day, like, here's the game plan. Sat down, had it all rolled out so we could get up early the next morning and take off. So we had a whole list of places to go, and it just so happened the very first place was the only place. He had the right person in mind. And what the community or the people watching right now doesn't know, one thing I was going to do when I came back home to Georgia, I was going to make a not documentary. I was going to go do a video up there and show you everything about him, so you knew who we was a part of or like what was involved with it. And then there was that part too. It was like there was people that tried to say the Amish were fake. Like, okay, let's show them. You think they're fake? Trust me. Anyway,
you still have those 2 videos up when we toured their facility.
And I am still going to do something with them and let people know about. Dude, if I lived in that area, that would be my grocery store. That would be where I got my furniture, everything. They're amazing people. The reason I didn't do that, I see the way they did that about my daughter, myself, my friends, and the people around me. These are people that don't even have social media. They don't have cell phones. They don't even have electricity at their house. The last thing I wanted to see, people who were going to donate their time and sacrifice to come and do this for someone they had never met. The last thing I want to see happen to them is for them to get heckled. Because it would not only would it be difficult for them, like I don't even know if they would understand it. The one thing that happened to me during that period of time that we got to go there and spend that day, Mark, I found myself being so jealous, man. I was like, these guys don't have any of this social media drama. They don't know anything about the political drama. They don't know about this gender transition stuff. I remember I started telling him a little bit about Jeff Younger's story, what he was going through with his son and his ex-wife trying to change the sex of his child. He was like, oh my God.
Yeah,
just the look on their face, pure terror. Like I just told him World War II had started, you know?
Yep.
They don't have any of that. The way they kind of live in that community together, they help their neighbor. The situation that we were trying to make better would have never happened if they were in that community, because that community builds each other up. They believe in helping thy neighbor and loving thy neighbor. And I found myself being so jealous, man. And I realized too, because the Amish were so kind of elusive and hidden in the background, there's so many misconceptions of them out there. So many. And so I'd love for people to see that. And when I asked them, I don't want to be near the money. Everybody understood it. They agreed. We'll be the keeper of the funds. And what we will do, we'll have like a committee over it to watch over this. There was so many layers there, from the Amish to trying to get a trust account to like so much, dude. And then.
But who does the government turn to during natural disasters when they need help? The Amish, because they can come in and throw a house up in 3 days. You had the flood in Helene. The Amish came in and rebuilt the community. They had other floods that they referenced when I was up there that I wasn't familiar with. In West Virginia, they said the Amish came in and helped us because they can throw structures up in less than a week.
When they told us,
why wouldn't we go to them?
They ever built a house from beginning to end was 3 days. And listen, guys, I wasn't thinking of anything extravagant. Of course, I wanted to be as nice as possible, but anything was better than what was sitting there. Wanted to get nice, clean home, affordable, realistic, that can be maintained, take care of people, and need it quick.
On on their property.
Yeah. But the Amish had a different idea. This is going to be a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath, heated floors, and everything log cabin.
6 by 12.
I still don't understand how this works. Because I say heated floors, but that was not it exactly. They said they would never even have to run the heat. That's how insulated, because of the way they build the house. And we know they got some extreme winters up there. I think they got hit pretty hard last weekend, and they'll get hit this weekend. They said they would never have to do it. It was going to be amazing, guys, above and beyond. And they would have done it in hardly no time.
Yep.
When we left, they said, before we give you an answer, we need to pray about it. We have to get together as a community and pray before we do anything like that. And when we left, Robert was like, Eric, we got it. And I was like, well, they said they got to pray. He's like, no. He's like, we got it. He's like, that's what they do. They're not going to say yes yet, but he was like, I can already tell you. And so he turned around before we left to show him how serious we were. And he said, I want to be the first one to donate towards the house and cut a $500 check there on the spot. And he said, hold on to this. So when we get that account started, this would be towards their house. Check later got ripped up. We know what happened.
So again,
that's where it was. So we still had 2 more days that was planned to go and search for the Amish, and we accomplished it on day 1. So what ended up happening? We got us some Amish food, went back and we celebrated. And was like, tomorrow we go find out the other parts. There's permits, there's zoning, there's septic and like power and like all these other things we got to figure out. But the main thing, somebody to watch after the money, somebody to build the home, done.
So
and it was such an accomplishment, man.
So
we were ahead of schedule.
For timeline references, you picked us up on Wednesday. By Thursday at 5 p.m., we had this news. And then Friday was like, let's go check in with certain people. And then on Friday, we're going to do, what we need to do. And Friday morning was another red flag that I saw.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, you've told me about that.
Yep. So just for context and for timeline, people know what was taking place in the background. So we're above the moon. I mean, we had a smile from Virginia all the way back to West Virginia because they lived in Virginia, the Amish community that we went to. So we drive back to West Virginia, get back to the Airbnb. I mean, we are stoked. We're like, okay, permits,
Before I get accused of doing drugs or something, I vape.
What's that?
Lay my head down. I'm just
plot plan. No, but I mean, so that people know the timeline. Here's what was going to take place on Friday. And then there were 2 major incidents, one in the morning and the main one that evening after we got back running around all day.
Well, to that point, y'all hadn't met the family. You had met, we can't talk, you'd met someone, but you hadn't met the family, hadn't been there to see. And I wanted y'all to see so that next morning when we started out, that's where we went to first to let them know the news. The Amish agreed. And it was kind of, it was my first time being back after the controversy that happened before you guys got there. I was there by myself when that day happened, dude. And that was just one of you want to talk about letting the air out of your tank. Again, it had already been there 2.5 weeks. I don't know the time exactly.
Well, that's why we need to give specifics about what took place on what day. Because while we were gone, something was supposed to take place that Thursday.
I went after 2 attempts going to the court, trying to get a protective order, and couldn't get it. I could not believe we're being told someone harboring the phone to where people who got very serious medical needs would not be able to contact anybody or do anything. Abuse, like physical abuse, all of this being reported. No protective order? Dude, with what I've done with Dad Talk, they literally give protective orders out like candy, guys. candy. It's like, oh, you want a protective order? Here you go. I mean, people can make up anything. Couldn't get those protective orders. And so I felt like I want to make sure I'm being told this is what's going on. I want to make sure they're protected. I was doing what they were wanting me to do. I wasn't forcing them to do that. Now, on the other side, Patrick caught Larry stealing his gas. And I think he was huffing and puffing about that. He was mad. And dude, that was rough too, because up until that point, I had been so defensive of Larry. I want to see the good in people. Like when I had first started that, so many people just had so much dislike for Larry. And he was so nice around me and came off as genuine. And I didn't start seeing the cracks until later.
Well, I saw the first crack, and that's my opinion that I'm going to say here today. But the other thing that you need to be specific about is the
well, let me get through it, because I think I hear what I got to say, and then
make sure you reference the 10 days, because that is specific.
Okay.
Don't understand, and I'll explain it.
Like I said, I'm trying.
And I'll explain it if you don't. That way, people understand what was going on in the background.
But with him, that went on. Let's just, whatever. It wouldn't give the protective order. So lots of people in the comments and everything, and already told me, call Adult Protection Services. I felt like, man, nobody's going to protect them. And, I got to go home. I'm missing my family. I've been gone for weeks, but I'm not going home until I feel like something's done. And so I felt like that was last resort. And I called. But here's the thing. Nobody knew. They had already been involved. I don't know if I can go further. And without that, so I already knew they had been involved. So I called them to let them know of the current situation. And then they wanted to meet with me. By the time I found out they wanted to meet with me, I was successful the next day in getting the protective order.
Well, let's be specific. And this is what I'm talking about.
I know.
It's not, so let me be specific. It's not your protective order. It's Betty's. You helped her get it.
That's right.
And it was a 10-day temporary that Betty was required to go back in. That's how ex partes work. You have to go back in to extend it to make it permanent. That way, all the naysayers think, oh, it was this, oh, it was that, oh, it was Patrick, oh, it was Larry, oh, it was Betty. No, it was Betty's temporary 10-day that she was required to go back and get. So while we were running around on that Thursday getting the Amish on board, what was she supposed to do?
Well, and then the next day is when Adult Protection Services got back with me. I told them, I'm good now. We got the protective order. They was like, we would still like to meet with you. We love what you've been doing, and thank you for what you've been doing. You're the only one that's came in here and done what needed to be done. I was thanked profusely. And so I did meet with them. When I got met with them, I was met with a bunch of paperwork and a lot of other things I'm not going to talk about right now, guys.
Well, we met with them.
No, this first time you weren't there yet.
Okay.
I met with them and I was presented with a lot of stuff. And I said, I would feel much better if Betty was here with me. So I'm here to help. I'm here to help her.
So I'm talking
basically what I was saying. I'm here to help.
Thursday, Friday.
I'm just a conduit. I don't feel comfortable. I want her with me. Can we reschedule this with her? I will let her know what you're meaning here. And, I'll come back and meet with her.
But
so that's what we were supposed to do.
But
and I had other stuff to do
Friday,
with her too.
Right?
Huh?
This is prior to the Thursday and Friday that we're.
This is prior to coming and getting you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So that the audience knows this is prior to the Thursday, Friday that me and Mr. Mass are there.
So I got scheduled and we were supposed to meet. I had two things to do that day. I got suspicious about money that was supposed to be owed to them. It's not there. So I was like, let me hold on to this $5,000 that got sent to me. And they was owed more. They were owed more. That was like 2/3. But I got sent $5,000 from Patrick. And I wanted, Betty came with me, we were supposed to be going to meet with Adult Protection Services. And after that, I was going to go meet with an attorney about getting a trust started, which is where that $5,000 would go into. I wanted to do that trust account the month before because I didn't want anybody having money in their possession that belonged to anybody. I didn't want us anywhere near it, Mark.
Do you want to name that attorney?
I would, but I don't know if I can.
Okay.
So just, you know what? Rome wasn't built in a day. We'll talk about what we can right now.
Okay.
Okay. And I hope they respect the fact that I am being as reserved as I am. Because again, the truth is my best friend. The only reason I'm not just coming out is because I'm not supposed to.
Well, on that Friday, there's still two.
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. I know it's
incidences.
taking a while, but I mean, dude, here's the thing. If you leave out any little bit of context, you're looking for people to find one little chink in you. You could say 1,000 things right. You get one thing wrong. That'd be the thing they talk about for the next 2 years. So, sorry, we're getting there, guys.
We're not going to get it wrong because we were there.
That's absolutely.
No one was
Anyway,
there.
that meeting is supposed to be coming up and meeting with Adult Protection Services and that attorney. I got the email to show. I said, I'm going to come by your office. And the day that I come to get her, she's not there. I'm met by Larry. He comes out, Betty's not here right now. I was like, where'd she go, Larry? She went to get dog food. I was like, dog food? She knew we had this meeting. I was like, Larry, Adult Protection Services is waiting on us, man. You know, I was like, look, I guess I'm just going to wait and see what's going on. He's like, all right. And this is what he's going with. So in the beginning, people were always begging, wanting to send money or something to the family. Coloring books, you name it, was always saying no. But coloring books, stuff like that, seemed innocent, right? The big thing is, to do that, you got to have an address. The one thing I didn't want is the Whitakers having their address out there. People were already finding them, Mark. And again, they weren't famous or this going on because of anything I or he had done. They was already that way. They had been on the internet for years. And originally that was getting sent to Patrick because he was supposed to take it to them so nobody knew their address. But I felt very uncomfortable about that, bro. I went to the post office and I was trying to get him a P.O. box. So that's where I went and stayed while I was waiting on her to come back. And there was actually two people out behind the post office. I've never seen this anywhere else before in my life. Again, there's a reason they call it odd. But the post office is also somebody's house. And yeah, it's like half house, half post office. But let me say this. Those people are amazing. So nice. Again, Eric, thank you so much. They knew my name. They knew all kinds of, that was what was weird. I would go up to people trying to do stuff and they already knew who I was, what I was there for and everything, you know? And I know they'll remember me specifically because they had a dog that almost tore me to pieces. I came walking up trying to find them because the post office wasn't open, but they were sitting on the porch at the back. And, but they were still closed. I didn't get that accomplished because it was closed. They told me to come back, but I went back down to see if she had got back. And I sat there for a while, and finally he came out with it. He was like, yeah, yeah. He's like, you've been online telling people that you're trying to get people to come and take the family. I can't say names right now. And I'm like, up until then, I'm being told dog food. And I'm like, what did you say? Because I had already heard it before. I am up here away from my family. I've been using my money to get clothes, food, doctors, like all of this. Yes, I needed to get reimbursed. But at that point in time, that was on me, brother. I'm like, I am doing all of this. And this is what you think I'm doing?
Time away from your family that you could have been creating experiences.
None of those accusations, nothing. I was their favorite person in the world. I don't trust the other person. I trust you. I've got proof of that. I got so much that people have not seen. But I'm hearing this from the guy. And that's, dude, it was my first time I lost my temper with him. I was like, you started this. None of that happened until I went to the protective order. His daughter, for the first time, had to be responsible for the crimes that was going on. And then now I'm the bad guy because nobody had ever done what I consider, my opinion, the right thing. I hear there's people not being taken care of, a phone being blocked. When people got heart problems and they're older, they need that phone. I'm getting a little heated. Anyway, none of that crap started. None of that crap started until then. It was because of her. And I knew who was feeding this into Betty. I knew it. And she was being manipulated, my opinion. Anyway, and I said, are you kidding me? I was like, what do you need? I used to sit down with the phone, every one of them, like, and show them, look at this, look at this. I wanted them to connect. They wanted to connect. They loved it. Be careful.
You want me to talk about my first meeting with?
Well, here comes BJ's son and her pulling up, and she gets out, and I could tell something was going on. Well, I called Adult Protection Services because they was waiting on me. They had been waiting for like an hour. I called them. That's something I should have told earlier. You can't get cell phone signal there, so I had to go all the way down miles so I could get signal to call. And I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I was coming, planning on doing what I was. When I got there, nobody was there. And then after that, that's right, I left again to let them know now I'm being accused that I'm trying to get you guys to come and rip the family away. And they was like, that is not right. They was like, what do you want us to do? I was like, the only thing I know is like, I don't know. But I was like, would you guys come here? And they did. I'll give them that. They came all the way there. So around the time that Betty showed back up, here they come. And so as soon as I started about them trying to say like I was calling and doing this or that, Adult Protection Services was the one that spoke up, and they was like, no, he is not. If you want to know the truth, he is the reason that you're able to stay. He's trying to help you stay. He's trying to get you a home. He's the one that's been helping you. And they got the other side of this. And Betty said, I don't know. I've got so many people in my head. And she apologized to me numerous times. And I was like, Betty, I have no other reason to be here. I'm here for you. And, dude, that's how that day went. So,
So people know that, but that day is not, that day
people
is
want to know how did 5,000 get caught with me? There you go. Because Adult Protection Services came, but the attorney who was going to set up the trust, I was just going to go by his office afterwards. All it had been happened is email. I had explained what I wanted to do. Can I come by there? And I did send a follow-up email letting them know I'll have to try to do it some other time. But by all the time all this happened, you guys came in and then it went to hell in a handbasket. So,
but that's my point. So people know this is what took place the week before.
Because that's before you got here. Now we're going into
but you got to reference that because
I mean
you and I were just talking about Thursday, Friday, and then you jumped to the previous week.
Yeah,
so people understand what you were just talking about. Specifics was the previous week.
Yeah, that's the thing, dude. The story is very complex. There's just so much, and it was crazy enough why people go and try to stir up so much false.
It is, but so that Friday, which is
I'll let you talk.
So that Friday, which is the Friday after the Thursday we come back from Virginia from the Amish, that Friday we go and meet with Betty and Larry in the morning and say, okay, we've got the Amish. Here's our whole day planned out. We got to go look at pulling permits. We got to go to codes and compliance. You know, we got to go to survey. We got to look at utilities. We got to look at the plot. That was our Friday, right? So Friday morning, we go and say, okay, here's where the three of us are going today. We'll check back in with you because we told Betty and Larry, hey, we're going to, Virginia.
Well, I wanted to introduce you. You've never been.
No, but I'm talking.
What did I do?
Timeline.
What did I do before that? You remember?
What day? What I'm trying to look. I'm in the story, and I'm trying to stay on the same day.
I know. The morning that we went and you got to meet him for the first time, I went by and got food and candy and chips and drinks.
Well, that was midday. I'm talking.
No. That was that morning. I did it every time I went.
Yeah.
I never went empty-handed.
That's
ever.
True. Yeah, we went by the store.
Time.
We went by the store first. So Friday morning before we go to run around, they're ecstatic. We're ecstatic. We're letting them know the Amish are on board. Now we got to go do this, that, and the other.
And that was why I wanted, and it went into a very long story to get it there. That's why I wanted to present it to you guys, because what you don't understand, put yourself in my shoes for a second. I felt so awkward being there at that point. Mark, I'm being accused of trying to get a family taken away or breaking up a family. The very ones I'm trying to build a home for. And I mean, you even got the people responsible for doing an action like that showing up and saying, that's not true. That is not true. It's the opposite. But after you get something like that, there was that part of me like, what am I here? Why am I here? I know what I was there for, and I loved it. And I loved them so much, man. But it was just certain. Larry was problem issue. Larry and BJ. I think all of that started there. And it hurts me to say that because I was so protective of Larry. I know I've already said that, but you guys just don't know. I wanted him to be big brother, taking care of family. I'll fight for you, man. I'll fight for you. It hurt me when I heard them say, hold it, my headphones are getting caught down here. It hurt me when I heard them say, like how people had portrayed the family and talking about their, culture and their background and stuff like that. It hurt me so bad. I don't know what that's like. I don't want to know what that's like. I know that image has been put out there on you. I seen it. I want to help reverse that. I really do. I wanted to help reverse that. And I believed him when he talked about the pain of that. I really did. And so when that happened, man, when we showed up that day, even though, it was happy and everything, it was like, you know what? Mistakes happen. but we're still here doing what we're doing. And this whole time, the other side is in a wheelchair at home doing nothing, which was typical for me. Whenever there was any action taking place, like real action, progress, I didn't stop. The only time, thinking back at it, when we were going through that timeline, that last month that I was there, dude, the day you and Robert got there, in which I drove to Charlotte and all the way back, I think I cooked later on that night. But besides that, that was the only night that I actually sat down and rested. The other times I was going nonstop, bro. And now here I am at this house.
We had the Amish on
where
board.
These accusations are going. Yeah. But, yes, gave them the report, told them they're wanting to build your house. We're going now. Look for permits. Give us, what a little information that we need. And I just wanted people to know what that was. I wanted to leave, dude. It's going to sound confusing. I wanted to leave, but I didn't want to leave. There was a part of me, as bad as I wanted nothing more than to see my family and to fall asleep at night with my bed or with my wife beside me on my chest. I was not going to leave because there was love in my heart up there in West Virginia, like a fatherly love. And you can take it, bro.
So this is the Friday morning after we spent all day with the Amish on Thursday. Everyone is on a high. Like we woke up that morning. We were still excited. Literally on the high from the day before, right? We couldn't stop smiling. We couldn't believe that we had even accomplished, getting them on board. So now it was like, okay, what's the next step? Like I said, permitting. So we go, we let them know. And this is the first time that me and Mr. Mass are meeting Betty and Larry.
Can I pause you again for a second?
Go for
There's
it.
just one more. It's my turn. It's my turn, Mark.
As long as you don't miss these specific points, because there's two specific.
I know. It's just not it.
There's two
the
specific
other part about the celebration
that
and why it felt so good.
Yeah.
All of the people there that claimed ulterior motives. It's only for yourself. It's like, Amish are on board, baby. We're about to go get these permits. You're about to see some construction. There was an I told you so in there. We were ready to go. We were so ready to go. So when he's talking about that excitement, it was through the roof.
Well, that's why we walked the property.
And it wasn't about credit. It was to shut up the people that all they ever had to do was something negative or to try to talk down. Those are the type of people that wouldn't even go help out their own mom if she was struggling, let alone strangers. And so they want to talk about people in the comments because it makes them feel better when they look at their own reflection, right? But this was going to be the thing, like, here you go. Now what do you got to say?
I know people that have left their own mom in the hospital, did a 20-minute visit and left. And I'm like, who does that? Man, that woman raised you. You gave her 20 minutes of your time and then left?
All right, thank God. These headphones was wrapped around my chair. Sorry.
So tell yours and I'll get to my...
No, that was it.
Oh, okay.
I fought myself. I didn't know whether I got to get it out, man. It's feeling good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And again, all these are for context and for reference. So you, me, and Mr. Mass go and meet Betty and Larry. We're all just, smiling from ear to ear. You brought them the snacks, everything. We did the introduction. We talked to everybody, and randomly a truck rolls up. Red Chevy 4x4, expensive, especially for someone who doesn't work. So this is my first impression. And I'm like, who's that? Larry gets up and goes, yeah, that's my grandson. And he gets up off the couch. He reaches into his pocket and pulls a wad of cash out about this thick. And if I had to guess, $2,000, $2,500. And he hands it to the grandson, who's in this expensive $50,000 red Chevy. And I'm just going, why is someone coming to a place of people that are poor? Number one. And number two, why is Larry pulling a wad of cash out of his pocket and giving it to the grandson? And number three, that's the son of BJ, right? Who's got the restraining order. So what's he doing here? Is he sidestepping the restraining order and doing something for BJ? Because we know BJ is supposed to be on the property. So that's my first introduction to Larry. I'd never met BJ yet. And now I'm meeting the grandson who's in a really expensive vehicle, and Larry's handing him a wad of cash. And I'm just going, ding, there's another red flag. And then when you go forward and you think back to the conversation the first time I meet Patrick, and Patrick's making, a statement of, did you know that Betty took money out of her account today? That was literally like the night before. And now I'm seeing Larry with cash in his hand, and he's handing it to the grandson. I'm just going, whoa, what is going on here?
It's the reason they call it odd.
Yeah. So that was my first introduction to Betty and Larry's, watching Larry hand a guy who doesn't work, rolling up in a $50,000 truck, a wad of cash. And so again, we let it slide by the wayside. I let the comment the night before or whenever it was that Patrick came up in the wheelchair commented about Betty's personal finances, and we go about our business. We go downtown.
That comment, we were literally sitting there talking to people who had found me. They had found me where I was staying, guys, to come and warn me about guy in wheelchair and the situation in the area.
Yep.
And they went silent when he came around. I don't think that statement was to really tell me anything. It was just to find out, like, what's going on. And what was crazy, dude, I think there was a lot of people in that area that was looking out, like almost like a spy. He knew what everyone was doing. Everyone. It was weird.
So that's Friday morning, right?
Yeah.
Odd red flag, like already knowing the Mark issue and the money and the receipts and what Larry had made comments before. So now we just go about our business, right? And we're given the code guy's location. It was the wrong location. We end up at the courthouse, and then the bailiff is like, oh no, that's down here. They know you're coming. I've already let them know you're coming. So our first stop is permit application. And do you want to give that lady's name to give her some props?
I don't have it out here, but do you still have it? I think I got it.
No, you have all of it. You have the plot plan.
This ain't the last time. Next time I come, I'll have it. Oh, because we got all of their cards, guys.
Yep.
We went. So that was the first one. And remember, that building, it took us forever to find it because it was hidden. And they said everybody does that. Yeah. Like we went down that road 3 or 4 times. The GPS kept taking us right by it. But what it was back kind of like on a back road.
Yeah.
It was very hard to find. I don't know if you remember that part.
I do. But what people need to also realize is that we had went downtown and we're at the wrong location. And so you walked into the courthouse and the bailiff directed you and basically was like, they know you're coming because I called them.
Give my name,
said you're
all
coming.
The details. Like, hey, Eric, you got to go over there.
Yep.
Like, I didn't even say anything, just walking up. It was crazy. Yep. The other part, like talking about the Airbnb and the people talking. When I talk about Linnea Brooks, such a sweet lady. But we left that Airbnb. One, because I didn't want any of that coming up there. And we already, I'm being told about this apartment just completely destroyed. There was still another week on that place. And I let the owner keep every single bit of that, guys, because of the damage. And I'm going to tell you, it probably did not suffice for what was there. This was a guy that went and installed a TV for someone who likes TV that didn't have a TV at his bed. Then because the main TV in the front room, it got stuck on like a menu, but there was nothing wrong with it. He went and bought a brand new 65-inch. Then gave me that 65-inch that I gave to the family. I think that was on that live video. But like went out of his way so many times to be there for us. And then this is how you get repaid. So we were going to leave that. When I'm at your house, I treat it better than I treat my own. I don't know who else has that code out there. At Airbnb, like I got 5-star reviews, man. I've been all over the country. I would rather stay at Airbnb than I would a hotel because it feels more like home. I'm already out of town. I want it to feel like home. And I make sure I do everything. I'm going to take out the trash. I'm going to have the dishes. If I don't wash them, they're at least going to be in the dishwasher. A lot of times I go ahead and have them washed. All the bed sheets, they're in the laundry. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. It was a wreck, guys. But what did it matter? You want to know the sad thing? Well, sad for me, it was in my name. Person had a home, but because they had broke their leg being somewhere they weren't supposed to be, really, that I was not a big idea or was not consulted on, said, hey, it would be nice, if I could have a place like that and just to get away from everybody and just to kind of heal. And okay, not only did I get it, Mark, went and bought groceries. I think like $250, $300 in groceries. Your eggs, your milk, your bacon, your bread, everything, stocked it up. Said, man, get yourself better.
But that's
sit here and get yourself better.
That's the beginning of the week.
Georgia. I got it out under control.
That's the beginning of the week.
It's the beginning of the week. I just want to come up here, dude. That lasted for like a day. Because the rest of the time, the whole freaking neighborhood was there.
Yeah.
And it was in my name. But guys, we leave. Because again, I wanted, and I told him, I know I had it for another week. Keep that. And if that doesn't suffice for the damage, just let me know. And he was more than nice to us. And that's what I said. There were some amazing, amazing people in that area. But we was able, Linnea had an Airbnb too. That was smaller, but it was also secluded. Like, go here. Since people know you're here, you'll be better. I'll be damned. Guys, we got to that new place. It was a good bit away. We wasn't even there 10 minutes. And me and Mark see a truck pulling up the driveway. This isn't a place that you're getting a lot of traffic. And we was like, what in the hell is going on?
That's the following week, though. That's the following Monday.
I know, but I'm just like, we're talking about how crazy it was being found at that Airbnb. We weren't even at the new one 10 minutes. Somebody else done found us again. And this Georgia boy, I was packing. So had the Hellcat on the site, and what was it? Nothing but a good supporter. Man, I got your house, I got your food, anything you need. You're on the right track. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've been waiting for somebody to do this. It was nuts, the support, guys.
That was the Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, go. All right, I wanted them to know. It didn't happen to us just once.
After the Friday, though, because
yes.
So you're jumping ahead. And then
okay.
So stick with Friday so the audience knows what exactly is going on Friday with us.
Go ahead.
Right? Because you walked the whole property, you and me and Mr. Mass. Remember, 70-year-old
that was afterwards.
70-year-old. So we go to permitting.
Go back to permits and everything.
We go to permitting, that office. Lovely ladies in there. We love those ladies. They were like,
it was amazing.
A, B, C, D, E. You're going to use the Amish. Okay, you got to do this. You got to do that. No problem. What does she do? She says, you have to go talk. And I don't know if you want to name this gentleman's name, but you have his card.
Well, and one of the problems wasn't it like the Amish didn't have insurance or certain licenses or something like that?
We had worked that out. Do you want me to go in detail on that?
No, I'm just saying there would have been special.
Well, that's why I said A, B, C, D, and E.
There would have been special alphabet stuff we had to do.
So her and I discussed it. I said, I'm going to be the project manager, this, that, and the other. We talked about local contractors. We talked about the Amish. If you want me to go in detail, I can go in detail on that. Or we can
just go ahead.
So she refers us and says, you need to go talk specifically to this gentleman. Do you want to name that gentleman's name or just say where he lives? I don't
remember it offhand, but we got his card.
Okay. So this gentleman We then
waited
drive
in the office, what, 45 minutes before we got to talk to him?
Yeah, so we go to Code's office, who's in charge of here's what you can and cannot do on the property, and then he prints out the plot plan for the property that they live on, and goes, okay, well, you can't do anything here because we just really, and again, well, you did a live on this, but I'm just going to repeat it. He says you cannot build here or here, which is both sides of those streets. One side of the street,
and I still got those. I did see
one
those
side of
the
their
other
street,
day.
not their property. The other side of the street is their property, and the other side of the street is where the other trailer was lit on fire. Remember?
And I want to say it was my first time hearing this, but it actually wasn't. I want to say I think it was one of the magistrate judges, but I had been told where they were staying currently, their house was not on their own property already.
And this gentleman at Codes confirmed that with us. He said, here's this plot, here's their plot, here's the neighbor's plot.
It had been owned by numerous people. The only thing that makes sense to me, guys, and the family didn't seem to know anything about it. I'm thinking whoever it was, when they bought that property, there was some kind of deal to, watch after them, because you have like homestead exemption. I didn't like, I was shocked to find out they got 17 acres. And so I'm like, 17 acres? Why in the world would you live here? Like, your step is literally in the road almost.
But why couldn't we build there? And that gentleman told us.
Because it's flood zone.
No, well, yeah,
Flood
because the new 2025 FEMA report said, and back to the permits again, you can't build on either side of the street because it's in the new flood zone. So it's going to get real hard to get insurance and or a permit to build on either side of that street. I
was a viewer way before that. So everybody remembers the camper on the other side that burned down too, mysteriously.
Yep.
I know very little about that, but again, odd. So you couldn't put it there either.
Yeah.
That was still flood zone. So anybody would have thought, oh, you got to put it right here. Wasn't going to be able.
And so we're in that gentleman's office, and what does he say?
You got people showing up. I think there was one time somebody showed up at like 2:00 in the morning or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that is crazy. Let them have their privacy and everything. And you got 17 acres. Go back here where nobody can see you. And for any other ones, like, yeah, but why on camera? Dude, I have done hundreds of similar stuff like this, Mark. Never saw the light of day, never was on camera. When you're talking about building a home, you're in the hundreds of thousands. We're already looking. If we had built it for 150 or 200 grand, that's cheap. I don't know what it would have ended up costing. But it would have been up there. It's a lot of money that needs to be made. Not only that, the house would have probably been the cheaper part. When you start looking into that caretaking, and then somebody lives 20 or 30 years, and you do up that hourly rate, 12 months in a year, 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks in a month, it was going to be a lot of money. That was why. And it had already been done for a long time for the wrong reasons. Can somebody come in here and do it for the right reasons and make someone's life turn around? That was my idea. But anyway.
So we didn't even realize, hey, there's a flat spot up top, which would get them away from, anybody harassing them. You could put a gate, and then we have to find out, okay, well, where are the nearest utilities coming in? So you did the video, or I did the video of you walking that easement. That's where that video came from. So now this gentleman at Codes is saying, well, up top here is a flat spot, which looks down on the property
there.
The only flat spot there.
It was nothing but like major hills and like.
But we just thought it'd be cool because now we're going to put them up here, right?
Yeah.
Up above the property.
And it had an amazing view.
They'd be able to look down on where they used to live. So like a new beginning.
It would have been like away from everybody.
Yep.
To give you context, guys, we had to go down a back road. And to get to that part that we was, that little bitty clip that you did see, that was like, I think, a couple of hours of scouting. You just saw a little clip of it. That used to be a road. It wasn't even a road anymore. The old sign was there, but like where the road was, that ain't been a road in decades. Interesting enough, while we were walking it, Mark, what did we find?
Somebody was camping.
Somebody had been camping.
Maybe
somebody had to leave the house, but
someone who got thrown off the property down below maybe knew where this was, and yeah, maybe they went up top and were camping.
Yeah, but we found a campsite, very fresh. We had been searching all of that, and so at this time, Mr. Mast was not with us. He went with us to the permits and all that stuff, but he had not been in that area for a while. They lived the majority of their life over really near that area while they were Amish. While he was there, he had a family friend that they had not seen in years. I think since they had moved over, they went from Pennsylvania to Montana, and now they're in Idaho. But he said, if you don't mind, I'm going to sit here. I've got a family friend that wants to see us, and I'll be here when you guys get back. And that was the plan. He was going to, try to see somebody while he was out there. He didn't know if he was going to have time or not, but because we was ahead of time. So me and Mark's like, okay, let's go scout the property. And that's what we did. And after that, we wanted to report our findings. Go ahead.
Do you want to show any of the plot plans, or you want to save those for later?
I've got them, and I can show them later. Okay. I mean, it's going longer than I expected it to.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
So time-wise,
reliving all this, dude.
So time-wise, we're going from morning time through lunch, at all the agencies, getting the information that we need. Literally after we left, it was either his place or walking the property. Then we went to survey. We lined up survey, right? To come out. They were going to come out either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
We did that before we came home. After we did the zoning, with the guy that brought us in the office and showed us the flood zone and stuff, you had found that surveyor. And I can tell you guys exactly where it was. The Walmart there in Beckley, right across the street, across from the Golden Corral. There's the surveyor right there. It was that gentleman, and he's been there for years. And the guy that you see on the other side of the screen, my buddy that came out to support me, paid for his own airplane ticket, which I appreciate so much. And I wish I would have had it at that time. I would have bought it. But this guy, not only did he come out there to do that and was there with me for a couple of weeks, and then came back home with me and stayed for a week or so and took that time off from work. Again, I can't appreciate you enough, man. But you was about to pay $1,500 for the surveyor to go ahead and get started. Like, he was ready to pay while we were there, but we had to go find the spot first. And then we was coming back to say, here you go. It probably would have been done before I got back to Georgia. That was the plan.
I had him scheduled for.
You did finally went ahead and got it scheduled?
I had him scheduled for Monday, Tuesday. So this is Friday afternoon.
I was outside on the phone.
And I had him scheduled for Monday or Tuesday. He was sick. Remember we went in there and he was sick? And I'm just like, whatever.
COVID or something.
Yeah, I'm like, Monday or Tuesday, soon as you can get out there, because the minute you survey it, boom, we're ready to go. We're calling, we're going to go get the permit. We're calling construction guys, because you had that crew that called you from out of state and said, let me know. We'll come down. We can help you with foundations, utilities, everything. So we had that crew on standby as well. And you were sitting there going, okay, well, how am I going to do all this from Georgia? And I said, well, I'll just do it. I'll be the project manager. From this point on out, everything that happens, I'll just take care of, and you do all the media stuff. Mr. Mass did his job. He had gotten us in touch with the Amish. The Amish were on board. They were going to handle the finances, and they were going to do the build.
Now listen, though. I got Robert from Idaho. I got Mark from California. Listen to all this they done. There was supposed to be somebody from there helping me. And I can't tell you a damn thing they done the whole month.
He went to a concert, broke his leg.
That was before I got there.
That's what I mean. That's the only thing he accomplished. So now everything's lined out, and we need to now go tell them the news, right? Hey, you got to tell Betty and Larry, it can't be down here and it can't be across the street because it's in a FEMA flood zone. So you're not going to get a permit. We're not going to be able to expedite this whole process. And we got to tell them, what do you think about up above? There's a nice flat spot up there. Now you're going from down below in a flood zone to up above with a view of the hills. I think that would have been a pretty easy sell. So we're jazzed going back on, okay, let's go give them the good news. Let's talk to Betty and Larry. And
I was excited because I had some Amish chips that I had bought to give away.
Yep.
I was excited about that. I remember that one vividly.
Yep.
When we was pulling up, we were in such a good mood, dude. We were in such a good mood. We got it. You've been wanting that house. Here you go.
Yeah.
No, it was that moment. Finally, we are ready. And you know what? As much as I said God needed that right person there at the right time to do the right thing that not many people would have done, he also knew at that time he's got it to this point, and I can't allow it to go any further. And that's why I got that sign. Because, dude, had I not, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just not. I almost didn't say anything what I saw next because I hate conflict. I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. I have an ex, drives me nuts, and I'll talk about that later. But I have had my moments, guys, with the conflict and stuff, and I hate it. I hate drama. I hate arguing. I hate all of that. And I will go the opposite way to just get away from it. And it was one of those, are you kidding me?
I didn't initially know until we got in the car, and you told me.
I saw it as soon as I got out, dude. As soon as I got out. And I knew what it meant when I saw it. As soon as I got out the car in that camper, you could tell tweaking.
Well, so we get out of the car, and we're not recording at all. You just want to give Betty and Larry the good news. And then all of a sudden you turn to me and you go, hit the record button. Still, I'm sitting there going, I have no idea. But you said hit the record button and go back.
I played it smart.
What's that?
I said I played it smart because you didn't even know what was going on.
I had no idea.
There.
Yeah, I had no idea. You just kept telling me go back and forth between Betty and Larry in the trailer, and I'm like, okay.
Mark had no idea what was going on. And like I said, I had some special homemade Amish chips. There were some moments that meant something to me. And I wanted to make sure that wasn't disturbed. And after that was when I said something. I had to. I was specifically told, this was before you got there, when they granted that order. And so on that third day, when we got that protective order, it was a different judge. The other two times, it was a different judge. And he was super nice, but he was new. And everybody that heard about it afterwards is like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because he was saying that the abuse and stuff had to happen within the last 48 hours in order to be able to give it. And like, I just couldn't believe it, dude. Like, again, they give out protective orders like candy. But when I saw that new judge, he was like, oh my God. And he's like, not only that, and he got me to give him some more details. He's like, I'm getting her going now. Dude, no joke. By the time we got back, gone. That was that judge's orders. He was a really good man. He was a former Church of God preacher, same denomination as my dad. So we had a good conversation while I was there. But when I saw that, dude, and I want people to think of this too. At any point in time, there was a lot of drama going on. What made Jerry Springer so successful, Mark?
Yeah.
If I wanted this to be about anything else, I would have just said, keep the cameras rolling. Do what you do. Takes a different person to say, let's go to doctors. Let's go get a shower, clothes, food. I'm proud of myself, bro. I'm proud of myself. But that moment sucked because
I would say in that
then
point,
when I said something, they tried to lie to me. The whole reason I brought that up, again, guys, and some people think this is just fudging. I got some trauma. I got some major trauma. I'm having problems with my communication that I've never had before. This has sucked on so many levels. Being under that microscope. That judge specifically told us, if they come back around, they're going to jail. However, if they come around and you don't say something, you're going to jail. When this order happens,
and who's they?
Cannot be there.
And who's they? So BJ was ordered to be removed, and the judge said to Betty and Larry, if she shows back up and you don't call, you're going to go to jail.
Yes.
And so that's
which would have been, I don't know. I would think so. Probably would have included me.
But that's what's all transpiring in this little, this little 4-hour time frame. Everything is transpiring right then and there.
Yep.
So within 4 hours, the House bill went from full steam ahead to dead in the water. Right then.
Deader than dead.
Yeah.
That did it. Well, because that's when I started seeing the deception on so many other levels. And that's where my name had never had anything, dude. And then that, like the person that had done all of this ended up where I'm sitting now. You guys know how bad that sucks, man? I told her, I was like, you got to call, you got to say something or you're going to go to jail. I didn't know. Yeah. They knew that order wasn't any good. That's when Larry tried to play it off so many times, dude. And that's at that point. That was the moment. Like I was already fed up with him. That moment, done.
Well, we have that on video, and
when I'm done with someone, I'm done.
How do we know when Betty and Larry are lying? They hit that high pitch, right? And that's on the video. They hit that high pitch like, I don't know. What? She's here? What? It's like, come on, man.
Different times in that past week, guys, they had been contacted. You missed your court date, but we will put it, we will reinstate this and make a permanent one. Do you want it? No. Did it on the second time? No. So, and on the third time.
And what was Patrick,
it is
Betty, and Larry
my knowledge that the third time was the day someone came in there
at the incident
and took the family. And so they gave another opportunity. And then as far as missing the court date, that's when I was with the Amish guys. The police came there in person and served the paperwork. Again, I was never told any of this.
We were in another
and said,
state.
This is your court date. I was told specifically by those two judges, this protective order is only good for 10 days, and then you have to come.
Not
and get it to
you.
the court.
Don't say you. Say specific.
What do you
Betty
mean?
and because you is
Betty and
you.
Larry. I got you.
That's why you keep.
Well, no,
between.
it was just Betty. It was Betty's protective order.
Well, that's what I mean. But between
It was Betty's protective order.
It was Betty's protection order. But between Betty, Larry, and Patrick, they were all saying it was your fault that the protection order didn't get extended. It's like, it's
know
not
how bad
my
that just burned.
It's not my protection order. It's Betty's.
That hurt so bad, man. Never said anything to me. Never. It was like it was planned.
Well, that's where the ulterior motives were.
Betty was the one that wanted to go and get it, Mark.
Exactly.
She wanted it.
Yeah.
I came all the way up from Georgia to do this for you.
And while you were in
You're
Virginia,
acting like somehow it existing, the only thing that had my involvement was me being here doing what you asked me to do and trying to make your life better and make you some money and get you a home. And they're their own worst enemy. And I'm going to tell you, much smarter than people give credit. Much, much, much smarter. When I found out the policeman came and served, and they already knew that I had the wrong. Betty already knew. Betty, I'll do it. Okay. She already knew I had the wrong date in my head. I was thinking 10 days. If it's good for 10 days, then that means on the 10th day, we got to go to court. That was my reasoning behind that.
But it's not your job.
Sorry, guys. I was wrong.
It's not your job.
No. I was with the Amish. I was literally every day. You know what we were doing. We just sat there and told you guys.
You were in another state. And they
called me anytime they needed something. I got called. Can you get my medicine? Can you get me some chewing tobacco? Can you get me this? Can you get me this? But court date, one of the most important things, you can't do that. And then when it went to hell in a handbasket, oh, that was Eric's fault. I am so glad, so glad Patrick released his door ringer footage, because I heard him when they said, Eric's the reason we miss it. And they said, no, ma'am, you are. And they tried to make it my fault.
It's not Eric's restraining order.
Family got taken away.
You live in Georgia.
I've got opinions on that.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely got opinions on that. But
so,
this thing,
if people want to talk about
so twisted, dude, how my name got brought into anything nefarious or criminal boggles my mind. And let that be a lesson to you guys, even as transparent as you can be. You know,
so who has ulterior motives to miss a court date, miss a meeting with the lawyer, miss a meeting to set up the trust? I'm getting dog food on one of the most important days of your life. Who's?
Literally.
Right?
I honestly think, Mark, the house would be done by now, if not last month.
The house would have been done in a month.
I think so. Because they
literally, you had that crew in the other state that are like, let me know. Utilities Foundation, we got it. We had the Amish, 6x12, log house, 3 days.
To give insight into what Mark's talking about, I received an email of some people. They didn't even want it to be mentioned, man. I mean, it was so awesome, the amount of people that wanted to help. And that was kind of one of the challenges too. So many people wanted to help and do stuff. It was overwhelming. And then on top of that, I've got the people trying to tell me how to tie my own shoes and everything else too. Like, there was so many people trying to tell me, like, you need to do this, or you need to do this, or you need to do this. And let me just take a second, man. This is one of the parts that bothers me is 50 states in this country, guys. I've been almost around the whole thing, outside Hawaii and Alaska, New Mexico, Vermont, and forget. Point being, there is a family like the Whitakers in every city in this country. I've seen it. Poverty is everywhere. All those people that were so passionate about wanting to help, there's people that you can go and help. And I'll put my money where my mouth is. I've literally went and jumped out of my car, Mark, and went and took food to someone in the woods. I had to chase him down because he had a sign saying, I want food. And so instead of giving him money, I went to Burger King. And by the time I got back, he had left. And I'm like, well, he couldn't have went anywhere but the woods. Parked on the side of the road, running in there. Hey, they're everywhere. If you want to help, there's opportunities to help. It doesn't just have to be here. This just happened to be one because people saw what Mark had done. I being one of them. And it is a great feeling. And I do believe social media can be used for good. It can. Don't let anybody tell you that it can't. It's hard to do those good things in that social media when there's so much bad surrounded by it, dude. You know, that's the hard thing.
Well, how many people can say that in the same year they've been to Mar-a-Lago, the slums of downtown Maryland and Detroit, and Libby, Montana, and Lewiston, Idaho were so friggin' cold you can't even pump gas in the same year? How many people are doing that out there that are watching this right now?
I'll
show you right here. See that number right there? Absolutely none of you are doing that right now.
Well, dude, the day that you're talking about, you said Mar-a-Lago, but the day that I went to Trump's Golf Club in Bedminster, I got asked to speak about fatherlessness and dad's rights. But that was later on in that night. The day before we went, I went to downtown Baltimore. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, it's not many places. A lot of white boys are going to be walking, which I know. I'm a graham cracker. My joke. Anyway,
we'll call you a s'more.
Can people laugh at that? Come on.
We'll call you a s'more.
Okay. But dude, I felt more accomplished and more like I was where I needed to be when I was there in Baltimore.
Yep.
Because I was going to the substance abuse clinics. I was going and having conversations. I had a roundtable conversation, and I got that video. I need to release it. I'm sitting on a lot of footage, man, that I've never released. But 10 dads from that area, 9 out of 10 of them grew up in a fatherless home. Struggle with drug addiction and everything. Fatherlessness is always going to be that number one denominator, man, in almost every one of those situations. But so many of those ladies said, nobody comes and does what you're doing here.
Not even the
I saw that, and that was like, just to bring in like politics, I got really, and then the next day I was at Capitol Hill. I got invited to a roundtable on fatherlessness. There was a lot of politicians and stuff there, and talking about fatherlessness, and they invited me to Capitol Hill. And when I got to speak, there was a lot of people running for office up there. And I said, can I ask you guys a question? I said, how many of you have been down there and done any events or conversations? It was crickets. And I said, don't you think this is a problem? You got all these people saying, I know what to do to make your life better. Here in the projects, I know what to do. I am your answer. Please vote for me. But I can't even come and have a conversation with you. How in the world are you going to tell somebody you can make their life better, or that you understand, or you got the answer, and you can't even set your foot down there, dude?
Right.
You know? And then a lot of the people that get on and like complain about this situation right here, there were so many people that criticized and acted like they shouldn't be helped. You know, like it was beneath them. The comments that used to come up, the looks people would give in public if you're trying to help someone. world's a cruel place, bro. World is a cruel place. But I can say, man, I felt so much better doing that there. And everybody was welcoming, and that was like it was a pretty bad area.
Those people in West Virginia are so nice. Everybody.
They are, man. I mean,
everybody that was helping us at every single agency we went to were so nice.
Make no mistake, there is that other side there. We saw it, yes. But that's, one bad apple spoils the bunch is the way they say it. You can't judge that whole thing by one section. And I think a lot of people do, unfortunately, with that area. And I'm sorry that has happened in your town. I can promise you my intentions were to be much different. A lot of you know. You saw me in the store. You saw me. I was out and about doing what I said I was going to do. It was crazy, dude. I don't know what it's like to be one of those celebrities, nor do I want to. I like being able to go into an airport and stuff and eat. I'm always nice and appreciative of when it does happen. And I'd had it happen before that with Dad Talk, but not on this level. When I got back home, it went back to normal again. And count on one hand how many times somebody came up to me, "Oh, you're from this," And I was so worried I was never going to have that again. I'm not going to lie to you.
Except when you took me to, what was it, Eisenhower's house, little White House or whatever?
No, Roosevelt's.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, dude, that was a moment that meant so much to me.
Yeah.
That lady made my day.
Yep.
Not because she talked about me, but because she talked about my old man.
Yep. She's like, I know. And she used the name that most people don't know that he's called, just like your first name. She used that name. Remember? Are you such and such, Dad? Remember?
There was a lady, President Roosevelt, our longest running president that we ever had, 4 terms. And he was the last to do that. For those not aware, he had polio and he couldn't walk. And there is a town in Georgia, not too far from where I live, called Warm Springs. And it's known because of its water. With his polio, when he would come to Warm Springs, the minerals in the water, when he would get in it, he could stand and walk. And so he really loved this area. He loved it so much that he built his own little White House down here, which is now a museum. And I like to take anybody when they come down here just to see some of the history and stuff. I find that fascinating to think this is the guy this is where he was when he was calling a lot of the shots for World War II. One of the biggest conflicts ever, But there goes another part, Mark, that I didn't even think of. Not only is that there, the Roosevelt Institute for Rehabilitation, some of the people with some of the rarest mental conditions and challenges, that's where they go. I spent so much time up there at the Institute.
Fort Benning's there. You know where my dad went before he got shipped off in '67 to Vietnam?
You go to Benning?
Fort Benning.
And I had plans with Benning.
Yep.
So much. There was so much good that just got flushed down the toilet.
You had plans with Benning. You had plans with Universal Studios. The list just goes on and on.
And a person, yeah.
That was the reason I stayed a couple extra weeks, remember?
10 Universal Studios tickets.
Yep.
They tried to still give them to me. I didn't take them. That's not what it was about, guys. You're watching Dad Talk right now, but people used to ask me all the time when I was on there, Mark, like, what's your podcast? What's your podcast? And I wouldn't say it. Yep. I don't want to come off as doing that.
We never said it once when we were in West Virginia.
I'm doing it now because this is the platform that I got to do it on. And one other thing, I made a little note right here. Just to show you the extra mile with BJ. I wanted to help her too.
I was going to bring that up. I didn't know if you wanted to talk
Well,
about
I
that.
did. I wanted to help her. And I mean, I've got a record of that too.
Yeah.
The first time she had called me, it was because Patrick had burned up her couch when he was down there doing something in the yard. And supposedly it was a couch that was in very, very bad condition. But she called me up and she was like, somebody needs to do something about this. She was like, that was my couch. I'm in Georgia. I know nothing about it. I wasn't the one that did it, but I guess I'm being called to be the voice of reason or to give money, or I don't know. But I tried to be as fair as possible. And I called up Patrick and I was like, did you burn the couch? Hell yeah, I did. You know, and I was like, dude, you need to go to the marketplace, find one. Somebody's probably giving one away for free. There's something cheap, and let's replace that. And I was like, just, you know, if somebody doesn't want anything thrown away, don't do it. I've watched enough episode of Hoarders. You don't get them to turn around. You got to, you know. But supposedly, I don't know what shape the couch was in or anything, but I asked him and he did not want to do that. He was like, you're just feeding the problem. And I was like, I understand what you're saying too. But I was like, you can't just get rid of someone's property if they don't want you to, because Larry was upset about it. And I guess Betty was too. And I was like, you're going to, you know, end up upsetting. And I called her back. And I'm so sorry. I was like, I've told him to try to get that replaced. If something doesn't happen, just let me know. And then the only other time I heard from her, I think it was, she called me up right before I came that one time. Was like, Eric, I mean, this quick. I need $300. Send me $300. It's like, I ain't got $300. I just got back from up there, like spending the money that I had made in Idaho. And I said, I don't have $300. I literally just got back from taking care of your family for a week and doing this. And she hung up the phone on me. That was the extent of my calls with BJ. But I knew how much it meant to Larry. And dude, I want to believe in people that have second chances. I mentioned my struggle with addiction. I know it can be done. You've got to want it. I know that more than anybody. I wanted it. But another guy that struggled with addiction, and he came on, I think it was actually my last episode of Dad Talk, one of my idols growing up, guys, Hulk Hogan. Man, that was my real life action hero, Mark. When he died, and Ozzy too, man, we got him back to back. But I'm actually really good friend with Hulk's agent that he had his whole life. And he is a really, really super phenomenal guy, but he has an amazing story about like when he was in the industry, he was really successful. He got hooked on pills and how it destroyed his life. And after he got sober, he started a foundation and then wrote a book that talks about like how to get over that addiction. And he tries to help people. And I just interviewed him about when Hulk died. And while he was there, I said, let me ask you a question. I was like, I got a family. I was like, they're really well known on the internet. I was like, but there's one of them I'm really worried about. They struggle with addiction. I was like, if they could get help, gave him the story and everything. He was like, get them. And if they're serious, I'll cover it. He was going to cover it. He's like, and I think we was going to have to get her to Florida. And he was like, but do me a favor. He's like, if they are not serious, tell them not to even bother because they are taking the opportunity from someone that desperately needs it. He's like, if serious. And he was like, I've got you. And so I told that to Larry. And I was like, dude, I got it. 100% paid. Just got to get him to Florida. And I was shocked. I thought he had been a little bit more happy when I first told him. He's like, all right, you know, I'll talk to her about it. I was like, all right. I was just like, let me know. I was like, I know you want your daughter to get help. And I brought it up numerous times. And I don't think there's no desire. And I don't want to, you know, dude, once you start getting on those substances, I never did cocaine or meth or anything like that. I mean, any drug got its issues. That person's no longer behind the steering wheel. Every day they're going after that. But there's still a part of that person in there that there's that conscience that says, I don't want this for my life, And at some point in time, you gotta change it. One thing I think that is very true in life and just becomes more true as I get older, statement. Mark, you can't help anyone that doesn't want to help themselves.
Lead a horse to water.
But you can't make them drink. You can have a house ready to go. You can have all this. Dude, literally, they didn't have to do anything. Didn't have to do anything. I had it ready to go. And for all of those little naysayers, I got proof.
So, along the lines of BJ and the burning of the couch, I think people need to understand also a certain someone, Patrick, telling a certain agency to F off after reports were made of him to them. Remember that situation?
I'm trying to be very careful about what I talk about. Again, I feel like an outsider, Georgia boy.
Well, you want me to say it? Because I know it.
I'm not going to say I want you to say it.
Okay.
I'm just...
I'll leave it at the mentality of someone to burn someone's couch is just the tip of the iceberg of that person's mentality in the entirety of that situation. Right? So if he can burn someone's couch and say, I don't care. There's other things that he was doing as well. I don't care. Someone claiming to care, right? Is doing all these actions of I don't care and then saying I don't care or F off. Or...
I think I said early on, there was already involvement there before I made a call. So if you want to, you can.
I'll leave it. We're at Friday, so if you want to go in that 4-hour time frame,
we're at 3 hours. I see everybody's pretty much stuck around and
So we still have Saturday.
I'm so torn. I'm torn on like stop talking about it, stop thinking on it, or you need to say I'm not sure of anything anymore, bro.
Well, we still have Saturday. Sunday we went back to the Airbnb.
There's a ton more.
Like 4 hours.
So much.
And then there's that entire following week, right? We
still got two other trips, that you wasn't there. It was two there, man, so much before you guys even got there.
Yep.
So much once me and you got back to my house.
Well, again,
and the last thing I needed on me, guys, I work hard to get what I've got. Hard. This guy right here can attest to it. He's seen me out there on the road beating the streets, and I put my money where my mouth was. And the majority of the time, 43 states in 2022. Guys, I'd say 90% of those trips, I wasn't getting paid. It's probably even more than that. I had people that supported me because of what they believe in my mission, what my mission was. But
the worst I'd ever seen you was the ear infection trying to interview Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That wasn't Marjorie. Yeah, I interviewed Marjorie not after. That was one of the scariest moments, dude. And I thought
you kept having to go take breaks and naps in the car and then come back because I was the one who scheduled her people. You were in the car, I was scheduling her people, and they go, okay, we're ready at this time. And I would text you, you'd come back in to the booth. And then I think you only did like 3 minutes and you're like, dude, I couldn't hear. I couldn't focus. I don't even know what questions I asked her.
I got, and I never posted that interview until like a year or something ago. I held on to it for like 3 years. I was so afraid to post it. I was literally in the middle of a panic attack.
Yep.
When it happened, I was gone.
And an ear
from
infection that
home
you didn't even know that you had.
I was gone from home for another 2 weeks. I spent 1 week in Dallas, Texas for CPAC. And then I left from there, went to Idaho, where I met Robert Mast. At that time, they had created a nonprofit called the John Mast Foundation in memory of his son. And we were trying to find out if we could establish safe custody exchanges, like places where people can pick up and drop off their kids, where it's supervised so nobody can get shot or so that it's recorded. And nobody had done anything like that before. We didn't know what we were doing. We were trying to figure it out. It was like this new cause. And so we had a lot of exploration. So after doing CPAC for a week, take off, land in Boise, get straight in the car in one of the wildest weeks. Dude, over that next week, we did the whole state of Idaho, the whole state of Montana, the whole state of Washington, the whole state of Oregon, came back to Idaho, started back up at the top at Lewiston where John got killed, then came back down to Boise, and then I spent a night with the Mass and then came back home. We went to all the major cities in every single one of those states, guys. And if you haven't been out to the Midwest, one, you need to. To me, that's the most beautiful part of the country. It is to me. Like I am a Georgia boy. I love home. I love Florida, but Montana, man, oh my God. I wouldn't want to live there. I can't take those winters, dude. I can't. But while I was gone, and it happened a little bit when it started at CPAC that day, but the next day with the plane flight, when I was in Washington State in Montana, I think I was near death. Elevation sickness. What was it? It was I got eustachian tube dysfunction.
Yeah.
Is I ended up having to go see a specialist where I had went so many places in such a short period of time. It had messed my head up. All these different elevations. Like my brain was like, where are you now? And so one of the symptoms of that is I got a case of tinnitus, it ringing in my ear. And it started that day at CPAC. And I was interviewing this congresswoman and my ear just starts ringing, which I already have tinnitus. I've got it all the time. I've just learned to live with it. I don't notice it anymore until everything's quiet. But in the middle of interviewing this congresswoman, man, that ear just ringing. I couldn't hear anything she was saying.
Yeah.
And then that's when the panic started. And I cut it in the middle of the interview and went and ran out to my car and had to like hyperventilate. And Mark held it off for me. That's not a it's not a really happy thing to report on. But you know what, dude? It's life. It's vulnerable. It's one of my imperfections. I have very bad anxiety. I have severe depression. I have days where everything is perfectly fine and I'm just down in a hole. You know, it's one of those. So this situation right here hasn't made it much better. I can tell you that. But I worked hard for my money. I've worked hard for everything that I got here. That social media, I was able to do that because of the years of learning what works and what doesn't work. And I will tell you this, if you saw the numbers from the months and the weeks that I wasn't there compared to the weeks that I was there, Mark, I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yep.
It does. Now, I'm nowhere near as interesting a guy. Obviously, I can't compete with that. Talking about the guy who went to jail. You know, dude, but I wish him, I hope good things. I don't want to wish ill will towards anyone. And I will say too, man, I hope people leave his family alone. Because his mom is sweet as sugar. And she reminds me of my mom. And then, you know, he had 2 brothers that died just not long before that. They're sweet people. Sister, nice, and they're not responsible. You know, I've received support from numerous people in his family that messaged me, including his own daughter. You know, she was wanting to come on and do an interview with me, and she had a whole list of things. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of it seems probably very credible. But here was my thing. That makes me look like I'm trying to get revenge or, you know, petty. I'm not doing that, man. What did I say? You don't mess with people's families. And I told her, I am so sorry that you experienced this. I truly am. And I hope you can get help for it. I'm not the right person to do that with. I'm just not. Not because I don't want to help or any of that, but I'm not, that's not what I'm trying to do. There was an issue here. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing. That's all it was at the end of the day, Mark. Do the right
Well,
thing.
we learned that he couldn't, because then we also learned what took place in Florida, and we're like, oh, this guy's never done the right thing. He's always had ulterior motives. Look at what's going on in Florida. So all these people that are digging in and saying this and saying that, like,
I can tell you my record.
look at the
very
source.
quick.
Yeah, what's the source, right?
DUI. I was 21 years old in my dad's car. One of the lowest moments in my life, dude. A man that had been in the military, never drank, preacher man. And I get a DUI in his car in my hometown at 3:00 in the morning because I went to a bar. My friend begged me to take him to because his girlfriend had broke up with him and I didn't want to go. But man, please, because he couldn't drive. And but you know what? I'm a little bit different in this area. I 100% deserved it. One of the best things that ever happened to me. I never drank and drove again. I don't drink at all. But I deserved it. And that's my record for you. I haven't even been stopped for speeding or anything since I think like 2010, dude. I had to knock on wood because watch, it's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
If it does, I'm going to take a picture and say, see.
But again, I come back to consider the source. So there's you and your background and being raised by a preacher. There's Mr. Mass's background and being Amish.
Well, anyone going to gun sources too?
Anyone going to question that source? And then there's me, which most people don't know the level of clearances that I have through the federal government. So out of those 3 people, and then the gentleman who's got a rap sheet longer than my arm in Florida and stuff in West Virginia, and then BJ, Larry.
Well, I will say you were the most interesting job referral I've ever had to do. When you asked me to give a referral for your job, I had to schedule and meet somebody in person. It's the first time I talked to the CIA. He is not a CIA agent.
It was
get out there.
But
it was the first time. Yeah.
It was just counterintelligence.
Yeah. They just want to make sure you.
It was nobody big. Yeah. It's called, so for those who are wondering, it's called it's called the TS5.
TS5, right?
Yeah, and you do what's called an SF-86 background check, and so anyone that's in the military will know what that is because they go through it yearly. I'm outside contractor / consultant, so. But
I want to talk about sources, dude, and this is hard because even though I was online with Dad Talk, I'm a very private family man. My wife's never been on the podcast. I'll share, pictures with my kids and stuff. But outside of that, I tried to keep my family life separate. And then all this BS gets thrown out there by people going and searching for any little thing they can. It reminds me of family court. Anything I can. We're not looking for any good here. Anything that went on in your life. And then what pops up? There's one person that always wants to make it about them. I have an ex. Haven't been with almost 10 years. And I left her. I dumped her because she hit me. And since then, I left her, but I guess she hasn't left me because, dude, it's all she does 24 hours a day. Like, obsesses with it. I am not happy about that. I am not bragging. It's scary if you want to know the truth. Very scary. And she's put so much information out there. Fake name, won't show you their face. Get them to do that. Get them to do what I'm doing right now. I mean, think about your course right now. Yeah, show your face.
Show your face.
Show your name. Yeah, tell them about your life.
Don't use an alias.
Before you bring up my name, you know? But I left them, and it's been one of the biggest nightmares. If you want to know the truth, it's the reason why that podcast got started. I want my child, but not you. And I'm just going to leave it there. I hate talking about it, dude.
You and I have the same similar exes, and we know there's 22 to 25 million of these people out there with this borderline personality disorder, because that's how many kids are alienated a year by this personality.
I'm already shivering thinking about it, because that right there, like, they can't wait. Ooh.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw him one time, like, gotten like 100 of my pictures, went and made a collage and stuff, and it's some of the just craziest stuff. They need help. And I'm going to tell you, like, when I say the other guy I was talking about, I hope he gets help and does good. I learned that through two people. This is one of those situations. This person, I used to have literal hate in my heart. I hope they find happiness. It doesn't seem like, never been married. I don't know that anybody's ever going to marry that. But I hope they do find happiness, and I don't like talking about it too, because there's a child involved. So, and you know, when someone gets upset or something like that, I've already talked more about it than I really want to, Mark. But it's just like, at what point do you want to go to get someone you never met, man? Like, I wish people could really see my heart. I guess, bro. I hope that did. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to do it live is because it may have never happened if I didn't do it live. I want to talk, but then again, I don't want to talk. It's just crazy, man. Nobody wants to go through this. And I really feel sorry for one of the guys, the next guy this happens to. You can be somebody that nobody knows at all, and then tomorrow the whole world knows you. And you might be in a situation where you can't talk. That doesn't mean people don't stop talking. You're going to have the people doing the reaction videos and all of this. Like, dude, seeing people do reaction videos and trying to give information on this story when I know they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. It was nuts. You know, I've seen it so many times, never really thought twice about it online until it happens to you. And that next guy that doesn't know, don't get in the comments and don't do this. Like, I'm afraid of what is going to happen, because we got another thing coming up that's going to play into this, man. And it's AI. People that want to falsely accuse people and accuse them of doing all this crap. Well, now they're going to have a tool where they can make a video of them doing it. Yeah. You know, and before, you know, AI would make something that would have 7 or 8 fingers. It was a little bit easier to distinguish. Man, it's getting pretty good now, bro.
There was one guy who got it in the midst of everything, when all the video, like, you were still doing videos, all the other guys were doing videos. There was one guy who did a first look reaction.
Did he keep it that way?
He got about 3/4 of
I said about 95%.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I say about 95%.
I'm looking for his name.
That was before I came back home.
Yeah. I reached out to him.
Before I came back home.
I'm trying to find his podcast. But yeah, he got it.
And if he
knows who we're talking about.
Close. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't looked, man. Like, tried not to. I've had so many people. Eric, do you see this comment? Nope. You want to know what it says? Nope. You know what sucks though is family. Family wants to protect you, and they get upset because they know. And I've told them like, don't do it. It's not worth it. Nobody's going to listen. They want to do what they want to do, and that they're just going to keep doing it. And misery loves company.
Oh yeah,
Loves company, dude. Just leave it alone. Time will have to do what time does. And all right, man. Well, we could definitely talk more on it, but I don't think we need to start up on it right now.
no, I was just trying to find that guy's name. We'll talk
As long
about
as
it
he
later.
didn't go off the reservation with it. If he stayed like that, man, when I get through this, I'll give you an interview. And
Yeah,
if those content creators would have had some integrity, and I mean, because they try to come off as reporters reporting on something, there was
Right.
nothing journalist or reporter to you.
They tried to come off.
Some
as
of that
the
was so easy. I told you, man, breadcrumbs, guys. You're not dealing with a stupid guy here. And some of it was just so easy. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, everybody wants to be Don Lemon until they're Don Lemon and they cross the line. And
I mean, but what, dude? There was some serious money made out there on that, and they just get more sensational because I'm not allowed to talk, and nothing's changed. I'm doing my best to not cross lines with this right now, guys. I've been silent for so long, even though I've had so much to say. And again, the truth is my number one friend. But then, I don't know.
I found him.
Yeah. Well, just do your homework. As long as he stayed true, I will. But for those ones that went out there doing what they're doing, I told you earlier, I know a lot of dads that could use a vacation.
Oh yeah.
And that's my plan. I don't.
I'm gonna give him a quick shout out here. It was Big Business with Boss and YJ.
You got the specific title?
That's their. Yeah, so it's Bank.
I
Music
mean,
Group.
like that particular video we were talking about?
Yeah, that was them. Big
Okay.
Business with
It
Boss.
was only that one.
With Boss and YJ. Yeah, it was that one
You gotta
guy.
think, man. You got
Yeah,
like 4 or 5 months that's went on since then. And if like they got involved, I hope not, going and doing some of that the other ones are doing. My wife leaving me, the methadone and all that BS. He's in jail. My name should never been listed beside that, guys.
Yep.
Ever. And I can promise you, even with all of that, they're not even close to knowing the story. Because, I mean, you're not even in the right direction. You don't know that, you don't have the whole cast.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked to him on September 7th. I was just going back through.
And Jesus Christ, man. Now that I say they don't know the whole cast, if they start going out there and they're like, oh, I knew Tom Cruise was involved in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this guy nailed it. I got his email right here. Black Sector Mafia.
Oh, it was good. I mean, the part that when he said, I felt that pain in Eric's voice when he said, after all I did, I was like, yeah, I felt it too. That's a sucky feeling, bro.
Yeah.
But Mark, I think back at all the times my dad did the same thing, dude. I don't know if I told you. I used to get so angry. I did tell you, but I used to get so angry because the ones he did the most for was always the ones that did that. But I remind myself so much of the guy. His church, that he built when I was a kid. I remember he took my sister, me, my brother, and my mom. We all went. He wanted to show us where he was going to build his first church. We show up, and that's my family. There's a single wide trailer, windows completely knocked out, floors caving in, and the grass taller than the freaking roof. He was like, "This is where I'm going to build the church." And all of us were like, "What?" And all I can think of, kid in grade school, like, man, I hope my friends don't find out about this. You know what I mean? It's like, what in the world is he talking about? He's crazy. He's like, please don't do this. Please. You know, I want him to have a big, church with a steeple or something like that. Not a single wide trailer. We thought he was literally nuts, dude. It looked like it needed to be condemned. Worse than West Virginia. But dude, he saw something nobody else did. He built onto that and then built on a complete new church next to it and renovated the whole thing. It's still there to this day. Something that really kind of got under my skin is a couple of years ago, I went by there and now they got a marker out there and somebody had it out there and said like established, I think like in 2011. Because my dad eventually left that and went to a different church, but he was there for almost 20 years. And a guy came walking up while I was out there. He's like, "Can I help you?" I was like, "Yeah, I was just sitting here looking at your sign." I was like, "Founded in 2000 or made in 2011." And he's like, "Yes, sir. That's it." And I said, my dad built this church back in the 90s. And he just kind of sat there. I wish they would have said that, but it's okay. It's just, but I remember also, dude, like when I was losing my job, I found out the job was shutting down, and the job I had left of 6 years had just went bankrupt, so there was no going back there. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And I had that crazy idea of wanting to be a podcaster. I had no experience in it. I had worked in the entertainment when I was in my 20s and stuff, but I remember having that talk with Tina. We were getting married later on that year. Now I'm finding out the job I've only been at a month that promised me the moon and the stars to leave my last job is shutting down. And, but I got 9 months that I still got to work, severance and everything. And I remember when I told her the idea for Dad Talk, dude, without a flinch, she's like, "You think you can do it?" I was like, "I think I can do it, babe." She's like, "I believe in you. Do it." Dude. That's when you know you got the right one, that ride or die. You know what I mean? I told my mom and my siblings and stuff. They looked at me like I was a maniac, psycho. And a lot of people did. And, but I only bring that up because it was a crazy idea, podcast. But I think back at my dad in that single wide trailer. Just like the man, dude. And all those times he would help people, and I used to beg him as a kid, "Don't do that anymore." Like I had a lot of disdain in my heart, man. The church should have never let situations like Odd, West Virginia happen in the first place, if you ask me. If the church was what the church should be, situations like that, never. My dad would have got involved so much quicker into something like that, dude. But if the church really were going overseas and doing missions and stuff, and all that's great. We got problems here at home.
And we would ask that of all the pastors and the preachers that would come to CPAC. We would ask them, "Why aren't you more involved in this whole situation?" And that's what was so great about Charlie, because we were going to Turning Point back before it was popular, and Charlie basically going to the schools was creating his own church, so to speak, because he was just talking to the younger generation about, what are your thoughts? Why do you think this way? Why do you think that way? Let's have some open dialogue. But I mean, Charlie, every turn for you, like, "Hey, you coming to Turning Point this year?" "Yep." "Hey, you coming to Turning Point?" Back when we were called Nazis and white supremacists. We were going to Turning Point. And
there's been a lot changed. I mean, there's been some states that have changed the laws, but most people not involved wouldn't understand. Talking about dads' rights, it was so hard because to want dads to have rights meant that you hate women. And that's how so many people took it. Or if you said something about a dad, but I mean, it was always, what about moms? What about moms? Or you hate moms or something like that. Yeah. When I went to those conventions, it wasn't always taken well, and people would throw their nose up at it. And Charlie allowed us that spot before anybody when it wasn't that popular. And I'll never forget that. That was so unnecessary. And you know what, dude? I thought after that happened, maybe people will start being better than this. It ain't happening. It's worse now than it was then. The rhetoric.
Charlie was just murdered 4 months ago, and you're still being treated how you're being treated. James O'Keefe's being treated how he's being treated. Trump's being treated how he's being treated. Everyone's still being treated the same, if not worse. So what did we learn from Charlie's murder? No one's learned, empathy or compassion or how to treat the other person. Like, most people don't know what you did for BJ, and had you not said anything, they still wouldn't know. Because you didn't do it for people to know, just like Charlie didn't do stuff in this background for people to know. He just went there and did it.
There's so much family. There was so much done there, Mark. I'll never remember it all.
Yeah.
It was me and you was talking the other day. I try not to talk about it much. When we was talking, you was bringing up stuff I completely forgot about. There was a lot that went on there.
Yeah.
But dude, we've been going for a while, and I mean, majority of the audience, it stayed almost 4 hours. So
I hope we could answer most of their questions. There's still weeks and weeks of stuff that have taken place and stuff we can't talk about that'll come out later. I mean, there's people telling you to write a book. There's people saying do a Netflix special. I mean,
my fear is with that, dude, is like, I hope nobody goes and tries to make something and sensational like Tiger King or something like that. There has already been enough. I don't want to see that keep just.
Yeah.
There was a good thing that was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
That's it.
All these other Don Lemons can do whatever they want. What we said today are the facts.
That's it. And I'll be back. It's been a while. You got 6 months podcast rolled into one. Almost an hour for each month that went by.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
It is. It is. There's so much I just can't say.
Yeah.
Thank you guys, and we'll just have to wait and see what's next. I've been wanting to work on some other projects. I mean, that with the Amish, I discussed with them. They want people to see what's inside as well. Like, they were really excited about us going and doing that. I just don't want any negative blowback on them.
Well, the Jeff Younger
I've really been trying to protect. There's so much. I haven't even told my family. I don't want it on them.
Yep.
It's just this situation has been nuts.
You and I were going to roll into the Jeff Younger case out here in LA County. Now we have, California's going crazy because Nick Shirley's out here and all the cockroaches are running. San Diego, LA, Sacramento, they're like, oh crap, I don't want to get caught by Nick Shirley. Like I said, the scariest people in the world right now are guys in t-shirts and jeans with an iPhone camera.
It's so hard to make content because the people want to come and make it about that.
Yeah.
Like there's more in the world than that. Some of those people, I don't know what they do. They must not work a job or do anything, because that's what they do. They sit online all day long.
Well, fraud is prevalent in every single state. And if you want to destroy a society, the more you allow fraud to happen, the worse your society will be.
Look, we had a really good audience tonight. I could have been talking about this like ever since I left, trying to milk it and stuff. I wasn't doing that.
We just wanted to set the record straight. And
That's it.
there was only 3 of us there, so only 3 of us can speak. You, me, and Mr. Mass. Everyone else is just making assumptions.
And I love you, Robert. I don't know if he'll end up seeing this. I'm probably, they're probably really glad they're not online.
Yeah.
But I can't tell him how much I thank him. And you, dude, again, thank you so much. You've been like a brother to me. I would do it for you too. I hope I don't ever have to.
Right.
Don't get yourself into situations that I get myself into.
I don't know. I push buttons.
Yeah.
I've always gone against the grain and questioned authority. So
Yeah, but dude, what I was doing, it shouldn't have turned into this.
I know.
You know?
The grift is real.
Just do the right thing.
Yeah.
Just do
hard.
the right thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard.
The community there loves that family. And the community abroad loves that family. There's more good people than there are bad. I would say 99% of the people wanted to see that family succeed. And there was maybe 0.5% of grifters and just trolls and cockroaches that are like, I only get off unless there's negativity.
There was, I was shocked the amount of people that was okay with BJ, like taking the phone and the abuse and all that. It shocked me. But there was a lot of support there for her.
Yeah.
And you got to understand that, again, that's a troubled area. But I hate saying it like that because I saw more good than I saw bad.
Yep.
But there is a lot of bad there, but I saw more good than I saw bad.
Yeah. When we went to do the property line,
copper and all, like, man, we heard all kinds of scenarios. I think, what was it? The month before that, it was tearing down telephone lines, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dude,
Copper.
for the life of me.
The copper.
If you can climb up a ladder
and strip
go
copper,
around town,
you can get a job.
cut down telephone lines, burn the casing off, get a job.
Yep. Well, I know why one guy didn't have a job. Larry was handing him wads of cash. So why would I get a job if I got my grandfather handing me wads of cash? Where that cash came from, I don't know. You might want to head down that avenue of ulterior motives.
Well, that was another problem too, man. I think I got too close to the source. You know, I found that video of that person counting all that money.
Yeah.
Where did that money go?
Exactly.
So, all right, brother. I appreciate you joining me, and everybody. We'll be back. We got some talking to do. So, see ya.
See ya.